Hey guys, welcome back to Project Bodybuilding. Here with my co-host Marcus Guerrero to react to Tyler Manion's recap of the 2025 Mr. Olympia. We all know by now that Tyler Manion is vice president of the NPC-IFBB, and one of the things he's been doing recently in the past 1 or 2 years is putting out these recaps for the shows that he is on the judging panel for. And
Yes.
he was on the judging panel at the Mr. Olympia. So one of the most prominent judges, I know Steve Weinberger is the head judge, but you could argue that Tyler Manion as a whole has even more pull, so this is an important opinion nonetheless. And Marcus and I have not seen this. We are going in like we like to, we're known to do. We're going in raw. Marcus, you can attest that you've not seen this, correct?
I have not seen this. No, I'm curious. And this is, to me, yeah, you're right. Tyler Manion, the real voice of bodybuilding, we should say.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
This point, he's the up and coming. He's probably the future.
Regardless of what we'll say in this, sometimes I actually strangely really agree with Tyler in some cases. Other cases, no. A lot of the time I can at least see where he's coming from. But regardless, this is absolute. We got to start by sucking him off a little bit. This is absolutely so important because the judging, how it is going, transparency isn't even a word in the judges' vocabulary. Yeah. I mean, for all intents, the scorecards, for all intents and purposes, are just a couple of numbers on the paper at the end of the day. Because we don't know what judges are on the panel most of the time. We don't know who is ranking who where, and we don't know why. We know the process of how they get to those numbers, but it is nice to, at some shows, at least have one of the top guys, perhaps the head judge at some events, just come out with his thoughts.
That's how
it's exactly.
It's one of the best things in bodybuilding since in the last year or so. Really,
honestly, yeah. It's underrated. Everyone gives Tyler the flowers for doing this. But I just don't think people understand this for someone that does think there is a lot of corruption. I find this really important that even if I think your arguments are awful, they're at least there.
Yeah,
which is
we can hear it.
Exactly. At least if you're lying, you're doing it to my face and not behind my back. But anyway, with that said, I have no idea. Well, I have some idea. I saw some posts on Instagram floating clips from the from this recap. But other than that, like I said, we're going in raw. So any other things before we start? I don't think so.
No, I'm just wondering. The Tyler Manion voice.
Right. He's kind of an autist, but that's okay. Aren't we all?
Oh, he's the future, man. Shout out, truly, shout out to Tyler Manion. This is incredible, and I think it's something that we need, especially in the social media era. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a lot of talks, and and rightfully so. I mean, everybody has their own, opinion or objective, take on how the Olympia looked, and so being able to hear it from one of the head judges is pretty cool. Because it was brought up a lot, man. There's a lot of people talking,
right.
This is blasphemy.
Let's put this out there right from the beginning. Who did you have winning the 2025 Mr. Olympia out of the top three? Who would you? Marcus is on the judging panel, so you don't have to worry about being objective. You just have to give your opinion.
Okay. So my full biased, it would be Andrew. I will say for what they're going for, Hadi. Hadi was the one who was night one, Derek. Night one was Derek. Night two, Hadi. But that's what they're going for. Personally, I would have had Andrew.
Okay. I would have actually, this is going to be crazy. My top three would have been Hadi. You ready for this? Martin.
Okay. I can see it.
Andrew. Derek Sampson.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So for me, it's hard to put Hadi over. To put Martin over Andrew. That would be tough for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I put him over Derek anyway. So Tyler's going to go pose by pose here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of what Marcus and I think on all the 8 mandatory poses, so that way we all three can chime in. I love a good 3-way. But without further ado, let's finally start the video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more, and let's get into this recap.
I'm ready.
Hi, everyone. Tyler Manion here, NPC and IFBB Pro League Vice President, and this will be your Mr. Olympia Open Men's Bodybuilding recap. So, obviously, another tightly contested show.
I mean,
in that medium shirt.
hey, medium or not, we gotta talk about it. Them sleeves are looking pretty stretched at the hem. You know what I mean?
Okay, bro.
Tyler getting his Andrew on, or Derek, or I mean, hey, all
with these open men. As always, it's very close contest when these top guys come here and are in shape. And overall, I thought that these guys did a good job of bringing in solid condition and good packages to the show. So first, we'll start off with Derek and Hottie, since they were first and second, and I think it was very close between the two. And then we'll move down the placing order. So we'll go pose by pose. First up is the front double bicep pose. This pose, along with quite a few other poses, I think are pretty close when it comes to deciding who wins the pose. In the front double bicep, for Derek, obviously he has great taper, a nice small waist. For Derek, his legs were definitely up in size. He definitely kept his leg size for this show. You see nice deep lines in the separation throughout his legs. You see good leg width from the front, and he just held on to more volume in his legs. Obviously, a weakness for Derek in this pose is his inner arms don't really have much detail, and obviously he doesn't really have much of a bicep peak. Now we move over to Hottie. Again, Hottie and Derek are built very similarly. So you see, again, a very nice taper into a nice small waist, the flaring lats. Hottie is very, very conditioned. You go down to the lower body, and the legs are very conditioned, but you see that the legs definitely do not have the same size as Derek's. They're separated, they're definitely conditioned, and then you just don't see that same leg width throughout the legs and the quads, and also the same sweep. I would say that Hottie also has a little bit less sweep on the right side than the left. It was pretty evident that it was a little bit imbalanced between those two legs, but overall the leg size just was not the same as Derek's. Bicep-wise and inner arm detail, he obviously has much better bicep peaks and more detail in the biceps. So as you can see, it's very, very close pose. They both have that very nice taper. When it comes to the arms, Hottie has the better arms. When it comes to the legs, Derek has the better legs. Separation through the legs, Derek has a little bit better separation in the legs and obviously a little bit better size. Hottie's conditioning of the muscles themselves are a little bit better. The feathering was there. Throughout the upper body, I would say that Hottie was a little bit more conditioned with a little bit more detail overall as well. But obviously Derek was in shape here and still conditioned too. For me, because of the overall size, really, I think there's a little bit of a size difference overall. I gave this pose to Derek by a hair to make it 1 pose to 0. Next up.
Bro, I'm already fucking done. I can't. I wrote down a few notes. We could talk about this. Leg separation from the front. In what world is Hottie's worse than Derek's?
Now, I will say this, and I was thinking about that, right? Now, take it out of the front double, and now look at it in the front lat spread. How do you feel Derek's legs fare here? Because that was the one thing that was glaring was, wait, I'm kind of confused. But when I look at it here, how do you feel about the difference? Do you think it's a little more on par?
I don't like Derek's legs. I think they're really adductor heavy. I don't think the quads themselves are that good. I don't think the separation is that good. And it comes down to this overall quality versus quantity debate. Yes, Hottie has the asymmetry. It's bad. Well, it's not atrocious, but it's noticeable. No. I'll say that. But if I don't say this, if I don't point out Hottie's flaws, then people will be like, "Oh, well, come on, you don't think Hottie has flaws?" No, he does. But Tyler Manion said the feathering, the overall condition to the muscles. Like we can go back and hold on this.
I think we should also note this is night 1.
Well, we can get to that a little more later, okay. But yes, okay. I think it's important to note it now. This is prejudging. Yes. Now, per the scorecards, I'm not going to pull it up because it takes too long. But Derek won prejudging 6 to Hottie's 9. Then at finals, Derek lost 8 to 7.
Yeah.
Now,
shocking.
We'll talk about this, but the difference, you can ask anyone, the difference between these two was at its widest at finals. I don't think anyone would dispute that. Superset Man has made a great video on that. I suggest you go watch that. I talked a little bit about it in my video. I suggest you go watch that as well. But with that said, I think a lot of people are saying, well, if the bigger difference on night 1 or 2 was with Hottie, why didn't he win? And I do know this because people were talking about this. There is a mysterious lack of night 2 footage in this recap.
Okay. Yeah, which to save face makes sense. You know what I mean? I get it. You want it to be especially if okay, well, we don't know this yet. I'm curious if is he going to say who he actually thought won it? Like he's saying his real opinion, like
yes,
meaning like
I think so. I think he does that. I remember at the Pittsburgh Pro,
he thought
Derek
Nick
won that. But he said Nick won that. I think he gives his verdict. I think sometimes he disagrees from whoever the outcome was.
Another point is he did it smart. He only talked about 1 and 2. Because what that does is it completely takes Andrew out of the race. I will say that.
I would give him this pose. I would
exactly.
I would go in reverse order. I would give its reverse order. Andrew for the front double. Andrew, Hottie, Derek, Samson. There's an argument for Samson.
Derek. Samson, he sadly, which is a total difference from last year. But yeah, I mean, you gotta learn from your mistakes.
Who'd you give this pose to?
I mean, Andrew, easily. That's not even
out of the top 2.
Out of the top 2, front double.
Yeah.
This is the second pose, right? Because I felt like the front lat spread was clearly, what's his face? Hottie. Front lat.
Well, we're talking about the front double.
Front double. It's closer, but I would still have to edge towards Hottie. Like I would have to edge towards Hottie. I like the newfound size of Derek. I do, but there's
newfound. Emphasis on the word found because it wasn't built. It's like, you found it in like an oil refinery.
You sound like what's her name? Sarah. Sarah from
Sarah Viagra, whatever her name is.
I hated that she did that, man.
I think low-key she could get it. Anyway, let me skip ahead a little bit here.
Pose to Derek by a hair to make it 1 pose to 0. Next up is the front lat spread pose. For both these guys, I don't think it's their strongest pose. It's not weak by any means, but I don't think it is their strongest pose. So first with Derek, you can see that actually the size and the detail on his outer arms are much, much better than what his inner arm looks like when they're raised up for the front double. He had good volume and cap to his delts. Chest wise, his chest lacks, some of that striation and detail. I think it looks thicker in some poses than others. You can see really just a touch of thickness, especially through the lower pecs in this pose, but he definitely could use more thickness and more of that detail and striation throughout the upper pec and whole entire chest as a whole. Again, he has very, very wide lats going down into a nice small waist. He does have detail in the midsection throughout the abs. And then, like I stated about his legs before, the legs were solid here. We move over to Hottie. For me, Hottie's chest is actually even flatter than Derek's. What I mean by this is the muscle itself doesn't look as thick. You don't really see the thickness there. His chest is obviously a little bit more separated, but it doesn't have that same separation and striation and detail that you see in his chest in some of these other poses. Going to the outer arms and shoulders, I actually think Derek in this pose, his outer arms have more volume and more mass to them than Hottie's. Derek's shoulders also have more volume and mass to them than Hottie's as well. Hottie's shoulders are a little bit flat. You can see the shape of the shoulders here. It's just not the same as Derek's. But again, he has very wide lats going down into a nice small waist. He definitely has detail throughout the abs and the midsection. And then again, his lower body is conditioned, but the lower body is not the same as Derek's. So because I think the outer arms and shoulders and the chest, how it all flows on Derek compared to Hottie, I think Derek is better there, plus Derek's advantage in the legs. I gave this pose to Derek to make it 2 poses to 0.
That's retarded. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, there's some back and forth to where I agree and then I don't agree necessarily. So what is your take on that?
Okay. Wrote down a couple things. He says Derek's chest needs more detail. I think it goes a little more further. It goes a little further than that. It's a murky, muddled mess, and Hottie's no saint either. They need what each other has. Hottie's chest is way too flat, but it's at least separated in the heart. The skin is laying up against the muscle. The midsection too. And another thing about the midsection, Hottie's waist is smaller.
Yeah,
people need to realize this. Derek's waist without the vacuum is not small.
I was shocked out of all these gentlemen, and I don't know if it looks like, and granted, my final opinion differs from this, but it looks like Derek's waist is the biggest out of these 4 right now from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
as far as the illusion goes, and especially even with the lat to waist ratio, his waist, like Hottie's looks a little bit more impressive in this shot.
Right, and the lats are more prominent for this shot. Derek has all the makings of a good pose on paper, but I think he's just a little too narrow to pull this pose off. Because with how thick the arms are and how thick the waist is, not that it's like Nick Walker level, but you don't really get a whole lot of lat taper. With Hottie, you get a lot more of that lat, just more lat exposure in the pose. And the taper isn't the best because his lats are kind of high. But there's more lats there. They're wider, and it's technically better taper. He has
the difference between Samson and Andrew. As far as you don't see a lot of that when Samson's where you do an Andrew.
Right. For me, I don't even it define close, because in my definition of close, I wouldn't call this close. Derek's, he's thick. He's a ball of muscle with a beach ball in terms of condition. I'd give this to Hottie.
Yeah, for me, this one is tough. And I'm being honest. For me, this one is tough. Now, granted, out of all four, it's a clear winner. Dumb
Samson.
Oh, no.
Oh. Sorry.
Andrew. Oh. Andrew's the clear winner of this pose, if you ask me.
You know who he kind of looks like?
I don't know, but he could star the next Monster for Netflix with that face, man. Right. That's the intensity I want on that Olympia stage. Look, can we take a second to appreciate Andrew's face?
Yeah. Pause.
No, I don't think so. Probably.
Anyway, are you giving this to Hottie or Derek?
This, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not pussyfooting with it. This is hard for me. Between those two, just on those two, it is hard for me because I do think that, you used the word murky. And when I look at Derek's physique in this pose, it does look a little
washed up.
Yeah, little more like how Nick, a little bit harder.
Paper bag.
It's harder to see the detail in comparison to Hottie, to where you see everything up front and close and personal. You see everything very well. It's not Andrew over there, to where it's etched out crazy to the bone.
Quad imbalance too, by the way. I don't know why everyone hates on Hottie when Andrew clearly has a quad imbalance as well.
Okay. Yes. But I will say the difference in the front double and the lat spread for me. In the leg department, I do see the difference in this pose compared to the first one. I like the size and the fullness that Derek came with. So I am going to just short and sweet. I have to edge to Derek for this pose out of those two.
Yo, and I don't everyone in the comments boo this man.
I know. And hey, give me some credit. Don't go so hard because I am being honest. I can sit here and be whatever and be swayed, and I get it because it is very hard. It is a toss-up for me. If I'm going just fullness and muscle density, I like Derek. But there's this crispness to Hottie that is very hard to, it's hard to say. It's hard to put Derek over, but I do. I'm going to stop talking.
In the legs, I gave this pose to Derek to make it 2 poses to 0. Next up is the side chest pose. For Derek here, again, you can see his outer arms and shoulders are actually not bad at all. So for arms being, a weakness for him when they're raised, whenever they're in these side poses, they actually look very, very solid. Just compare it to Hottie's right here. Again, Derek's shoulder, I think, is better than Hottie's shoulder. Derek's outer arms have a little bit more of that volume and roundness. Hottie has a little bit more of that peak to the bicep here. So all things considered, they're very similar. I think width throughout the top from shoulder to shoulder, meaning shoulder throughout the chest to the back shoulder, I think Derek is wider. I also think that actually Derek's chest is thicker than Hottie's. You can see that chest flatness here. And even with the back pec that's pushed over, you can see Derek's is thicker than Hottie's as well. They both keep their midsections tight, go down into the lower body, and you see that Hottie's legs are a little bit smaller than Derek's. They both have very good separation and detail to them, but you just see more of that density and mass to Derek's leg. And obviously they're both in very good condition. So for me, again, because of where Derek beats Hottie in this pose, especially throughout, actually both the upper and the lower body for me, I thought this was a pretty clear pose to Derek to make it 3 poses to 0. Next.
That was a smooth edit. I don't know if you caught that cut in there, but it was really smooth. I would. This is one pose I'd give to Derek as well. I did in my my
Yeah.
matchup, but I think it's closer.
It depends on what you're looking at, right? What you're looking for. So the midsection area, and just once again, there's this crispness to Hottie.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, who would have thought that Derek's arms would look this good from the side? This side chest really showcases his arm, especially in that tricep to bicep width, very well. And yeah, the side leg is the best on that stage, shockingly, out of these four.
Well, it's not as good as it has been even earlier in the year.
Arnold was his best side, like his side leg and all that was Arnold was bar none.
Yeah, Hottie separation is quite good, but he's just overall smaller, so you got to give him the side leg. But in terms like, go and watch my video. When you put these two up close, you can see there's a clear quality difference between these two. Just the hardness and just the way the skin lays against the muscle. Hottie certainly has that, but he also has the problem with the delts. Far one's pointy, first one is lumpy. Derek may be a little soggy like he always is, but this is the fullness and thickness pose, so I got to give it to Derek. So we're all in unison. We're all in unison. Good to see that we can all come together.
Yeah, this was to me that was the most impressive. I think this might be that was the most impressive pose for Derek. I will say that. And his back shots are great too, but pause. Meaning, pause. But I will say that in compared to the other gentlemen on that stage, I was by far most shocked with his side chest.
Next up is the back double bicep pose. Obviously, we know Derek has a very, very crazy back double bicep. His back itself is, ridiculous. He has very good depth and thickness to it. Very nice width into a nice small waist. I think his legs from the back looked pretty big. He kept really, I think, solid size on his legs this time around. You can see he has, obviously, the detail and the striation to the glutes and the hamstring, but you see that sweep from the quads that come into play to really accentuate the leg width here in Derek from the back. Shoulders solid from the back, not the most overpowering, but solid. Again, arms here, you see he has solid tricep development, but the bicep peak in development could stand to be better. Now we move over to Hottie. Hottie's back itself compared to Derek, Hottie's back has good width. Doesn't quite match Derek's width, but the real difference here is the density to the back. As conditioned as Hottie is throughout the chest and the midsection from the front, you don't see that same conditioning in the back here, so it just doesn't have that depth and 3D look to it. Go down into the lower body, and again, you don't see that development and leg width or even hardness again to the legs in the lower body that you do in Derek's. So for me, I think this is a very clear pose for Derek. I think he exposes a lot of Hottie's weaknesses here to make it 4 poses to 0. Next,
I don't think we need to really discuss this one. I will say Derek's back was not its usual crispness, and I did miss that. Hottie beat him in terms of just the actual crispness of the back. So even though, he has these striated glutes, it's not just about the glutes, because I want to make this video. People were asking me to do this comparison. Maybe I will get with one of the guys that Photoshop things and do Jay Cutler's glutes from 07 on Derek. Then what do people say because I think people give Derek a pass on a lot of the condition issues because he has those really striated glutes. But what if he didn't have those? Because at the end of the day,
yeah,
right. But at the end of the day, it's just one area. So what if you took that one area away? Then how do people see him?
I can't stand the obsession. And I love glutes. The obsession with the glute striations.
Yeah.
And just how could I don't care. I get it. It could be a great sign of, oh yeah, they're in shape, they're peeled. But I do feel like some people tend to put it over even like the hamstring and that, conditioning coming in. It makes no sense to me. I get it, flaunting it if you have it and all that, but I don't think it should be the end all be all. I don't really understand the fascination with that. I don't.
Right. But anyway, we can go on to the next pose. There's nothing really to say.
Up is the back lat spread pose. Now, this is another pose that I think is very, very close. Why? Because, again, the lower body difference, I think Derek has the advantage in the lower body here. However, when we move into the upper body, I think that Derek is not opening up every time that he hits this pose. So you can see the density and the thickness that Derek has to his back. Again, his triceps, rear delts, everything actually looks very solid here. But the back itself, he's not opening it up to display the width that obviously he has. Hadi, on the other hand, does a very, very good job of opening up his back all the way. So you see thickness and density in detail throughout his back. Also, his lats look wider than Derek's in this pose, but he has the disadvantage in the lower body. Really, I think this is a very close pose because while Hadi's width is better, you still see that Derek has that thickness and 3D look, and Derek's lower body is overall better. But for me, I think this pose went back and forth a lot. It really all depended on how Derek was opening up the lats. And I ended up giving this pose to Hadi, definitely because of the width and how he opened up his back.
Marcus?
I'm here.
What do you think about the rear lat spread?
One thing he said is throughout the night. Right. So listen, obviously there's more times, because if we're just talking about this picture right here, them getting into it, this shot, it's hands down Hadi. It's not close. To me, it's not close. Yes, there's a little bit more thickness. And I'm telling you, the legs is what won the show for Derek, man. The leg thickness overall really helped him out. It did help him out. Because this is the thing. There's a lot of things to not like about his body, and there's a lot of things to like. He has his strong suits, the back being one of them, but the leg size really helped. It helped for me, right? For me, it helped, especially night one. Look at it like, okay, yeah, he won this night one, and it has everything to do with that overall leg width. The leg width kind of it outshines Hadi's, to where Hadi's are looking a little thin, probably the thinnest on that stage. But
Andrew,
this is not this is not a close shot to me. It's Hadi easily. For what we're seeing right now,
I can understand why someone could go with Derek, because he has the better lower body and still a pretty good back. So you can say, well, top to bottom, I like his pose more overall. I think Hadi's back is just that good in the rear lat spread. And then also, I don't like how Derek is holding a lot of fluid in the back. It just looks really round and not in a good way. Puffy is what I'm trying to say, because it's not a roundness to the muscle. It's like the overall skin quality there's a lot of fluid between the skin and the muscle. That's just what it is. Or maybe it's, maybe it's just that new muscle look. I think that's part of it. But yeah, Hadi is wider, denser, drier. Lower body's still pretty good, but it's not Derek's. But yeah. Oh no, now I went back to the very beginning. Okay, let's go.
Depended on how Derek was opening up. We're going to move into the side tricep pose. Again, here from the side, you see kind of a little bit more of the size difference between Derek and Hadi at this show. Really, in this pose, you can see, I think, even a little bit more than the side chest, the difference in the size of their legs, the density of their legs. So I think Derek has a lower body advantage here. Now, when it comes to the upper body, again, I think that Derek's chest is a little bit thicker than Hadi's. You can see Hadi's striations, though, a little bit more in this pose in the side chest and his backpack. Going to the outer arms and shoulders, again, I feel like the tricep development, the shoulders.
Did he say backpack?
I didn't understand that.
let me replay that.
You can see Hadi's striations, though, a little bit more in this pose in the side chest and his backpack. Going to the outer
backpack.
Oh,
yeah.
I would have been on that for hours.
Shoulders, again, I feel like the tricep development, the shoulders, just the outer arm in general is a little bit better on Derek's. Both their midsections are tight. They both have good abs, but Hadi's obviously, that's his one crazy advantage. He has that crazy obliques and ab detail. So for me in this pose, again, because of the lower body advantage and overall size and thickness and roundness, I gave this pose to Derek to make it 5 poses to 1. Next was, again, because of the lower body advantage.
Okay. Marcus, what do you think on this? I'm interested to know what you think on this pose in particular, being a shape man.
And that's the issue is, once again, I understand the overemphasis of that side leg and the overall size that Derek is holding. But what's shocking to me is I feel like, especially in today's IFBB and how it's judged, the clearer winner out of them two would be Hadi, because he's winning in the more important part right now. Why? The upper body, the chest, the serratus, the abs. The arms are holding up to Derek's. Derek's arms do look more impressive to me. Yes, they look more impressive.
Sure.
Easily. But, and there's some, chest got some good width, some good girth to it. Look at the chest looking pretty big, like one of the big guys up there.
A little soupy.
Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. But I can't give it to him based off of just the side leg alone, even though it is very impressive. It is a good package. It seems like it's in the right direction for Derek. I would like to see this a little bit more fine-tuned Derek, a Derek who's a little bit more polished. This would look incredible. The issue is, well, with that newfound fullness that he's carrying, will he still have that same pop that we see in Hadi? I don't think so, especially in that ab region and the serratus. To me, it is much more. I would go towards Hadi. I'm shocked that they didn't go towards Hadi in this pose, personally. Now, granted, I'm more impressed with Derek.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm impressed with Derek, the size, but it's just there's a polish that Hadi has there that it's not on.
I want to say,
what do you think? I want to know your
thoughts. In the front double, he didn't give the pose to Hadi, despite having the better arms. Now, I agree. Arms are actually one of the last things I look at in the front double pose. However, there are a lot of people in the comments saying, well, how could Hadi not win when Derek's arms just, quite frankly, look like shit? And then, you'd have people chiming in, and I think we have a comment that Tyler posted to look at after this, where he said something about just overall poses, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but they're thinking of overall poses. Derek had the better overall pose in the front double biceps, but not the better arms. Well, let's keep that same energy in the side tricep. Hadi has the better overall pose top to bottom, but he doesn't have the better tricep. Ergo, he should still be able to win because he has the better overall pose. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I think that, looking at it, trying to be as unbiased as possible, I really think the leg size.
It helps a lot for Derek.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who hate on Derek, but even though that there's, I mean, the thing is, the side, it helped. It helped tremendously to where, to me, I understand why someone might see this and be like, oh, well, this is tough, because I've done it for years with Akeem, and I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, but, so I'm always letting the legs look great in this pose, but. And then I will say this, looking at them, Hadi does look very small, but it kind of goes back to the whole, Ian and a lot of his shots. Ian always brought this crispness that I feel like it's very reminiscent of Hadi right now, how Hadi looks. And
Ian is so underrated.
Very much so, especially when it comes to his relax. All the relax, like the comparisons, like the front relax side, it's probably some of the best ones out there. But this is I understand. I get it. I don't know. This is a tough one for me, but I do think I would edge towards Hadi.
That's usually how I imagine. But anyway.
2-1. Next up is the abdominal and thigh pose. For Derek, I think he's definitely improved this over time. You see now nice taper going down into his waist. We see much more ab development.
Is there something you want to say?
I mean, dude, I don't know, but this is like, it sounds like, I'm not trying to sound whatever, but it is, aside from what Samson's doing right now, doing the vacuum, it's not the best on that stage.
Marcus, I want to ask you a very blunt question. Does Hadi have a pose that's as weak as Derek's abs and thighs?
No. All that's the thing about Hadi is why he's so great is all of his poses are he does not have a weak pose.
There are some poses out there that are pretty bad. Derek's abs and thighs is legit one of the worst poses out of the entire lineup. Outside of like guys that, like if Phil Klahar stepped on the stage, his abs and thighs is obviously worse, but he doesn't matter. Phil Klahar catching strays, but I'm just using William Martins if he stepped on stage and showed off his abs and thighs. Okay, but like out of the top 10, this is legit one of the worst shots there.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I don't like. Come on, it's too. I can see like, all right, put it this way: we make jokes about being a size queen and all that, right? So Derek is holding a lot of size. Look at the lat width
in the waist.
Yeah, well, and that's what's so shocking. It's just like, I know that I have a bias when it comes to like the size. I always like, I don't. As long as it looks dope, great. I don't care how the size, like the big fat Joe Palacios, whatever, right?
Joe
That's
Palacios,
such a
yes.
dope physique. It is so cool looking. I don't care how wide he looks. He came in and brought that shit polished. This does not look polished, and so yes, I love the size, man. Like pause, but Derek super pause, but Derek brought the good size. But dude, the crispness. Look at the Surratt. Look at how. Oh my goodness. You can't get more picture perfect than Hadi's core right now. You can't. No. And look at the feathering in the quad.
I have him over Andrew.
That is where to me, it's much closer between those two. It's much closer. It's much closer. That's the true apples and oranges.
But yeah, I just wanted to ask you that because I think it is important. It's kind of like at this point, it's kind of reminiscent of a Dorian Yates 97 debate where he even says, I had the worst front double in the show. Let's take a look at the other poses. Well, in Derek's case, we have taken a look at the other poses. And right now, I have Hadi winning most of them. But anyway, more on that debate later. Let's see here's where we're at. Tyler is sucking Derek off for the improvements he made to the abs and thighs. That's where we're at. Anyway.
In detail than he previously showed. Arms overhead, arms are okay. Obviously, he doesn't have that detail and peak that others have. Go down into the lower body. Again, the legs, they held size and thickness and had good separation to them. However, when you move over to Hadi, this is always one of his strongest poses. This is one of his strengths, is his core and detail to the midsection. He has great taper. Chest looks full. He has the biceps that are peaked. Development good. Go down to the lower body. And even though his legs are down a little bit, you see the conditioning throughout. Overall, just the flow of the pose and the conditioning that gets brought out, especially through the midsection. I thought this was a clear pose for Hadi to make it 5 poses to 2. Then lastly, we have the most muscular pose. Again, I felt like Derek has improved this pose. He still needs more of that thickness and striation and detail throughout the chest. However, outer arms and shoulders definitely looked better. Legs kept the size, like I said, so everything holds for the lower body from the front that I said before. Even though Derek got better, you still go over to Hadi. Again, this shows off all of his strengths, the detail and conditioning throughout his chest, his midsection. Here, his chest, while it still isn't the thickest chest, it still is thick enough, and it shows the crazy detail and striations throughout the chest. His arms and shoulders tend to look a little bit better in this most muscular pose when he has his fists touching together like this. So the development in the outer arms and shoulders is there. Again, the legs are a little bit downsized, but you see the striations and conditioning throughout the legs. And again, just the overall polish and flow of this pose. It's very hard to take it off Hadi, and I thought it was a clear pose for Hadi to make it 5 poses to 3.
Okay. Who are you giving this one to?
I mean, it's no. I mean, So I feel bad because I started to get just jump that fence. But on both these poses, he's just starting off of Derek and giving him his just due. But yeah, he ends it correctly with the man who should have won these poses. Clearly, is Hadi. I mean, it's
right.
This is another no brainer. I mean, this is Hadi hands down. I mean, doesn't matter what type of size.
A sopping wet mess. I mean, when they had the full lineup up there, not even in the full lineup, Derek's a clear last for me.
See, it's tough. I mean, because I ain't gonna lie. Like, even though it's by far not the best Samson, this is still I still love this pose for Samson.
This is gonna sound crazy. Andrew wins when he's actually hitting it right with the arms, when he has the fists like almost touching the biceps, because he doesn't really do a hands together. He has these long limbs.
He goes right. Like
when he hits that, he wins clearly.
Yeah.
Over Hadi, especially over Derek, even over Samson. And so I'd have him ahead of both when he's on, or at least fighting with Hadi. And I have to put Samson over Derek. I mean, at least he has some detail.
In this pose right here, in this still shot, Samson wins this over Derek. Yes. Man, it's so interesting. I'm very curious. So he has it 5-3, right? That's his total.
And you have it 5-3 for Hottie.
Okay, and I will say that. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say I have 6-2 for Hottie.
6-2, which makes sense, and I can even see why it'd be closer in the sense of my closest shot was the side tricep, to where it's because I get why, and I'm telling you, I've said this. I think the judges really champion improvement, especially in the top guys.
Right.
They look at that and they see that, and it's put under a microscope.
We always talk about this. Tyler always talks about it. Superset Man and I went in on this one time. But that is not a judging criteria, and that needs to stop.
Yeah, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
What about this? What about all the shit we hear about how, oh no, it's not. We're not judging social media followers or social media presence or who has the biggest YouTube channel. We judge what's on the stage on that night. Really? Yeah. Then you need to judge all these physiques in a vacuum. I don't care how much bigger Derek's legs have gotten. If they look big on stage, great. But you're not. Why are we giving him a pat on the back and a reach around for working hard in the gym? That you can't do that.
I think it's almost like it's one of those situations to where I don't think a lot of people are doing that. What you're saying, I don't, including myself at times. I'm like, I'll see it and I might give somebody the edge because wait a minute, this is I don't know, man. So I get why it's hard for them because it's hard for me. Like I'm gonna see it constantly being an issue, even if they try not to. It's going to be an issue because subconsciously it gets to you. Like it is very clear that there is a fullness to Derek that wasn't there before, and it helps him. So subconsciously, like not even knowing it, I can tell it creates a bias for me, which is why I'm not a judge. It creates a bias. 100%. So,
well, yeah, that's just how it is. You see someone get better, and you automatically think, well, they deserve it. That's not how it is. We always, like I said, they always say we judge what's in front of us. So we don't care what it took to get here. We don't care how hard it was for you to get here, or what you had to go through, or your social media. And it's just like until Derek, adds 10 pounds of water weight. Now everyone wants to give him the win for his improvements. I think this whole thing of rewarding improvements, it just goes against what judging is. In that case, why don't we judge on YouTube videos on who's working harder in the gym? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Or let's say, Akeem Williams has a really shitty back. Okay, so let's say, man, if he gets any improvement, it's worth just as much as Derek's rear double as it is because Akeem's back from a genetic and muscle insertion standpoint is so bad that any amount of improvement is a lot more impressive than what Derek has to do because he obviously has the better back genetics. Yeah. You can't say that. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because I will say this, right? This is night one of prejudging,
right?
And we both kind of had the same feeling of Derek won the night one show.
Well, I'll give you, I knew he would win. I did not have him winning, but I said, yes, this is not like a 2024 Hottie where he just slams the door. Not that I wouldn't have him winning in most cases, but it's not a ultimately dominating physique. So if there is any room for Derek to win, I automatically know he's going to win because that's how it's always been. If you give Derek an inch, he takes the mile and he wins the whole show. And trust me, he's taking plenty of inches behind the stage.
Like 6 or 7, bro.
I don't know. Obviously, I know your overall thoughts on this, and
well, we should listen to what Tyler has to say at the end.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Make it 5 poses to 3. Now, obviously, the scores were Derek won prejudging 6-9, Hottie won finals 7-8. I felt like personally that Derek's conditioning from Friday to Saturday night, as the night moved on, his conditioning lessened on Saturday.
That is a massive understatement, and we'll get to that. I have some photos.
so it wasn't quite the same as it was Friday night. And I felt for Hadi, he came back a little bit more conditioned Saturday night compared to Friday night. Obviously, there's a couple of judges that switched their scores, but it wasn't enough for Hadi to take it home. Derek had too big of a lead, but it makes sense, like I said, because there's poses that are very close to each other. The front double bicep pose is close. The back lat spread is close. The front lat spread is close. Even the side tricep is relatively close enough that I can see arguments for Hadi, even though I think it was a Derek pose. So depending on which way the judges were going, you can give either guy basically almost all those poses. That shows you how close it always is with these two. They're built very similar. And when they're both on like this, it is definitely very hard to judge them. But I thought they both did a great job. I think that Derek's lead definitely was enough. I felt like he was for sure the clear winner on Friday. I think Saturday it was much, much more debatable which one should take it home. So at the end of the day, I feel like this was a solid decision and Derek was able to barely squeak out another win on one of his main rivals. Hi, everyone.
Okay. Someone pointed this out in my comment section. I gotta, it stuck with me. Every one of these comparisons with Derek, every one of the shows he's won, besides the 2025 Arnold Classic, which he absolutely should have won without a doubt, but every other one of his victories, 2023 Olympia, even 2022 Olympia between him and Nick, for second and third, 2024 Olympia between him and Martin, and then now 2025 Pittsburgh, and then 2025 Olympia. They're all close. Every one of these comparisons are close. And it seems that the scores always are like, oh, Derek does just enough to win. It's so interesting. Derek's never met a 50-50 that he doesn't win 100% of the time. Every time it says it's close, well, one, it's not. But two, if you say that, you can just say Derek won because you'll never err on somebody else. Martin should have beat Derek in 2024. Nick should have been Mr. Olympia in 2022. So again, they make it arbitrarily close to justify Derek winning. Here's some facts. Tyler barely had Derek winning at prejudging. We just saw that 5-3. That's almost a tie. And he said he gave him the front lat spread, by the way, which is insane. You did too. That's insane. But still, you had it 5-3 to Hadi at prejudging. I had a 6-2 for Hadi at prejudging. I didn't realize how bad Derek was at finals. I'm Derek's biggest hater, right? I didn't realize how bad he was at finals. Hopefully I have this photo here. We'll talk more about other things. We'll talk a little bit about Nick. But yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's a big difference. It's a huge difference. So, and I will say, because I don't want to, I really don't want to come across like any whatever. I do think that despite what I just had on my score, the 5-3 for Hadi, and I'm even giving him close call, like ones that are like the front lat spread, and then even I edge towards Hadi for the side tricep. But I can understand why somebody would lean towards Derek. So I do feel like watching it, that's funny. That's it. That person you just liked his he's a OSL athlete.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Wow, you know your athletes.
Yeah, I do, man. Head of athlete roles labs. But dude, I don't know. Because looking at it, when I saw night one, I said, I think Derek's gonna win this. He won. To me, he won night one. And that's subjective as I can get. I think he won night one. Not with my favorite physique, but enough to pull out the win. What's confusing for me,
by the way.
Yeah, the final is it's bad. And this is after he had the situation where he did his posing. So, and I have to give him, playing clearly with all that, the spike in cortisol, everything. His physique's not going to look good anymore, which is crazy because I'm pretty sure they had another posing round after this. They had another comparison.
Isn't that okay? No, go on. I'll write it down.
Yeah, which is shocking to me. But and like I said, I want to make it very clear. I think Derek won night 1. Night 2, it was a clearer victory for Hadi, which is weird because the scorecards do not showcase that. They have it 7-8. And the weird thing is, clearly they made him do another round. So I'm curious if they was it a tie or something, like 6-9 in favor of Hadi, and then they did that other comparison. It doesn't make sense to me because if it was a 6-9 night 1, which I agree, okay, cool. I'm not saying I agree, I get it. And I do agree. I think Derek won night 1. But night 2 was a clear victory for Hadi, which leads me to say I always feel like whoever wins night 2 should be the winner. If it's close enough. Night 2 is more important. It's the finals. If it's first half and second half.
To run to the defense of Derek, I think they should be worth an equal
No,
amount.
And I agree, but if it's a tie, right? So I agree. You got night 1, you got night 2.
But if it is a tie, it does come down to night 2 because that's what's happening right now.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't understand why it's not a tie, meaning why it's not the same score as night 1, but in favor of Hadi for night 2, especially when Hadi was getting better and better. It doesn't make sense to me because to me, it was a clearer win for Hadi night 2. So why is it still 7-8? Obviously, the judge's perspective is why. That's how they had it.
Look at these videos. Now, Gilco really brightened these ones up. Shout out to him though. But look at the crispness to Hadi's physique. And the delts I'm noticing. Yes, they're not good. But I think Derek's arms and whatever the hell is going on there are just as bad as Hadi's delts. I mean, let me pull something up here. I have the entire top 4's arms on this Instagram post. I mean, Synthol Samson is blowing Derek out of the water.
You got to put some respect on Samson's arms, man. They look good. Man. Even though he went down with the conditioning way too much.
That looks good to you?
Yes. I 100% think that his arms look good. I do. I think that Andrew's are the best. Clearly, Andrew's arms are the best there.
Yes.
Hadi's are second. Hadi's are second. And that
also says something because his arms are not good. I'm not saying that they are.
No, but I'm saying
Derek's
are bad. Yeah, they're bad. I'm not going to, they're call a spade a spade.
They look like he's infected. He has an infection. And he's holding a lot of it looks like the SpongeBob Splinter episode. You know what I'm talking about. Hold on.
No, but I don't know, man.
It's Derek. These are Derek's arms. Oh, that's it. Derek's arms. Red, inflamed, puffy, pus-filled. But yeah. I mean, so I agree. I'm not running from the fact that Hadi's delts are bad. Derek's arms are also inexcusable. But anyway, I want to get to this comment.
You've been hyping this comment up. I'm so curious what the hell it is.
Okay. So Tyler was getting some heat off of this because, everyone, you would not be surprised how many people had Hadi win the show. I love to see it. Or Andrew. Like, I put out a poll. I don't think I can pull it up too quickly, but it had like 1,000 people vote on it. 1,000 and some change.
Nice.
And I'm going to redo it, but I put out this poll. Who should have won the Olympia? Hadi, or did Derek deserve it? Or Andrew? Derek was the least popular option. Let's see here. I think, yeah, I'll pull it up here. Okay. So yeah, almost 1,400 votes. Hadi should have won as the most popular option. Andrew or others should have won at 31%, and Derek deserved that at 25%. And this is consistent with every other poll I've seen on Instagram, the like.
Yeah.
So,
it's tough, man, because,
but
I think that people are going to make it bigger, and rightfully so. It makes sense.
But everything's bigger on the internet.
Yeah. What was the comment there? What was the comment?
Okay. Let me read this. Hotties fans are only capable of seeing others' flaws and not hotties. I could care less the name or nationality of a person who wins it if it fits the criteria best that day. Hold on. Best that day? What happened to... You're giving Derek poses based on how much he improved. Anyway, at the Pittsburgh Pro, I had Derek losing to Nick, who took sixth here because I thought Nick was better that day. Let's look at the flaws. Derek doesn't have good bicep peak or inner arm detail, needs more thickness and detail in the chest and the front poses. His condition from the front doesn't match his conditioning from the side or back. Hottie. Legs from all angles look small. Okay. Lost chest thickness and fullness, so the chest looked flat, even though it was striated and most muscular. Shoulders don't look great. Condition from the back and even the side doesn't match his condition from the front. Oh, and for Derek's front and Hottie's back, I wouldn't call either of them quote-unquote soft. But we can all agree, Hottie's back is far harder than Derek's front, especially accounting for both nights.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, even the best guys in the world have plenty of flaws, and this is rang true throughout history, including the 80s, 2000s, and 2010s. It just baffles me that one set of fans decides to overlook flaws of their guy because his chest and midsection has impressive conditioning. There's an argument for both guys to beat each other if you cut their heads and bodies and didn't know whose was what, and that's why the contest was so close. To tell you the truth, if they didn't know who Derek was, they would have scored him sixth. And I'm dead ass. But I have an interesting post I want you to comment on. And I'm going to make a video on this. But tell me that Nick Walker doesn't beat maybe both of them, but at least Derek at the finals. But he did not move up an inch at finals.
Yeah, so I thought there was a major difference. One, I don't think, once again, dude, Nick's back double, night 2.
This is the best rear double in the world, by the way.
Oh, freaky. I agree. 100% I agree. I don't care whatever. I get it. Everybody's going to have their opinions, and that's fine. I'm allowed to have mine. Do I think he should have won? No, he was off. Sadly, he was off. But yeah, the turnaround for night 2, and the issue is, hey, man, your initial, the initial reaction, it has a lasting effect. And we see that. We saw that nobody could shake Nick Walker night 1. He didn't even move up he went down a point. So,
right.
Now the issue is, okay, if we compare him to who's next to him, it was Martin Fitzwater. Martin looked great on both nights. A great looking Martin showed up. Nick Walker, I thought a great looking Nick showed up on night 2. When he's sitting there and standing alone, he looked incredible.
Do you think that Nick should have been higher? And where would you have put him? Just on finals.
On finals, it's tough because I would want, before I answer that, because I haven't looked at that aside from the pictures you just showed me where it's photoshopped. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, I get it. It's a good Photoshop because it's from it just happened, same stage, same everything. So the finals, Nick was very improved. I think the only issue is it's not able to get the sour taste of night 1 out of everybody. And I get it. It's supposed to be, it's a new day. It's a new round. It's supposed to be judged as is. The issue is, will it? And clearly we saw that it wasn't.
When is it judged as is and when isn't it? What about, Derek made improvements to his legs over the offseason, automatically give him the trophy? What about the improvements Nick made over 24 hours?
Yeah, I thought that the most impressive, and I was going to ask this during my other pod, and I didn't have time to, but I wanted to know who had the biggest turnaround, who made the most significant changes from night 1 to night 2, to where I think it's Nick, clearly, because he started off so bad on night 1.
And it's Derek for the worst. Derek,
why would he say, going down the lineup? I don't want to say that, but I do know that I can speak on like what I've looked at, and I haven't looked at it in depth. So I don't even know if Nick places in front of Martin on night 2. I don't know that, right? I don't know. But I do know that it was a significant change and difference. And I thought that if Nick showed up night 1, how he looked on night 2, we would probably be talking a different language. I agree. I think that. I truly feel that.
I want to highlight another issue I have with the judging. Judging needs completely overhauled. Todd and I were talking about this. I am tired of this lazy ass judging. You know, how many times we heard it at the show? It's a close show, folks, Bob Cigarillo says. Then why do we get one call out, shuffle it around, Andrew doesn't even get put in the middle, and then they put him back on the line?
Yeah, I hate that.
And then clearly at finals, besides the top, the top guys, well, the top two, they didn't care. Most of these guys have straight scores. If it's a multiple of 5, that's a straight score, which means people really didn't care. They phoned it in. They're like, yeah, pretty much more or less what we saw. My opinion from, they're not viewing it as 2 different days. Oh, it's my opinion. Day 1, we're going to write it down. It's the same thing anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. They did it so that it allowed nobody to make significant jumps. Honestly, nobody was able to.
If given the proper look, Nick, in a vacuum, Nick would have been top 3 at the finals. And we should have seen that. We should have seen Nick realistically somewhere around 4th, because on points he should have got there. But because he was in second call out at night 1, he didn't even get a chance to be first call out night 2. And that is utterly ridiculous. Yes,
I agree with that part. I'm not going to say he beat top 3, top 4, anything like that, because I think we should do a video about that. Meaning specifically for that. No, 100%, because the issue is there's so much, and I feel the tug of war with me in general, because I feel like in certain climates, I don't know, you got to weather it correctly and, be an eye of the storm. But I do think, and I'll say it again, that yes, because of how poorly he came in on night 1, even though there's still things to be very proud of, happy about. Look, as far as a spectator, his hamstrings looked incredible. The width buried everybody on that stage. It buried him. Still one of the best back shots, I feel. Pause. One of the best ones on that stage. Easily up there. Not saying it's the winner easily. I'm saying it's easily one of the top ones.
That's insane.
Yeah, this is nutty looking. Look at you can't.
I'm going to say something so for real, and I'm being dead serious here. I don't know if 2011, an early version of Phil Heath, can beat this. I wouldn't say it does. This rear double at finals?
No. Yeah, the leg width is crazy.
2011 Phil does not beat this.
I ain't going and saying all
rear
that.
Rear double biceps. I'm not saying Phil overall would beat Nick Walker, of course. In the rear double biceps, I would give a narrow win to Nick.
Yeah, the thing is, it sucks because I just really wish he did. It's the unknowns. We're not gonna know. Hopefully, he keeps the same energy. I kind of want him to show up to Prague. Why not? Samson too. Why not show up to Prague? Why not? Because it was an issue of peaking.
Well, I think Nick has more of a case to do that than anybody, because for him, I really do feel it was a peaking issue. For Samson, I think he needs to shut it down and completely and wait till the Olympia. Last words on Hottie and Derek. I got to include this other point. So you were saying the other day, the other day, you were saying just a little bit ago that they brought everyone back out at finals, because I thought that was weird too. They had their confirmation round and then the posing routines, and then they brought everyone back out for another comparison, like in between. Like there were like female divisions in between that, if I'm not mistaken, which was really weird. So, and we know backstage Derek had a little issue, and it's not disclosed, but we know there's an issue. Check out Dave Palumbo's interview with Chris Aceto if you don't believe me. Ivan Bodybuilding did a video about this. And Derek had an issue, an emotional issue, by the way. It wasn't a physical issue from what we know. An emotional issue. And they pushed the entire finals night back because of Derek. And usually, the reigning Mr. Olympia gets last word in the posing routines. That is the last guy to do the posing routine. But since Derek was having his Deriad backstage, they put him last instead of Samson. So, long story short, it doesn't really matter, but the IFBB did help Derek. The showrunners helped Derek.
If I'm being real, I don't mean to interrupt. I just
go ahead.
Turn off really quick. I think that it would be very dope if Derek allowed Samson to go last next year.
Well,
I'm just saying. I think that if that's the case,
yeah, we'll see if that happens.
No. I'd become the biggest fan of Derek. I'd become
right.
And I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Derek. Great bikes.
And you brought up a point last time that you said, well, maybe Samson allowed that.
Yeah,
and true, that may have happened, but
I think so.
You don't. That's taking advantage of Samson's kindness in a competitive event. If you were a really good person, you would just suck it up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak. I don't know what to say about the situation. I don't know what was going on. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But
so
anyway,
I can't. I think if anything, the highlight should be if that's the case. If Samson allowed it, good for him for allowing it. Hopefully that dude can get brought back around full circle.
I think the TLDR, the tea leaves here is Derek got special accommodation. At the end of the day, you cannot make two buts about it. Derek got special accommodation. And I just now put 2 and 2 together. Was this extra call out at the end for Derek? Because it happened at the tail end of the show.
Well, get a little bit deeper. No. What I'm trying to say is, if anything, wouldn't it have been a disservice to Derek because clearly he wasn't looking as clearly throughout the whole night, Hadi was looking better and better. So are you kind of implying that during that last call out, that last comparison, Derek looked better?
I'm implying that it was a second chance.
Okay,
because he's got on stage, the second night jitters are gone. He's done his posing routine and he's already done a call out once. Now they're like, okay, can you pull it together one more round and really hold these poses? And
well, the question is, did he? I mean, because it could have been close enough. Clearly, it was a close score. My only weird whatever about it is the 7-8 in favor of Hadi. Does that mean that somebody had it tied prior to that? That's weird to me. If somebody had it tied prior to that,
right?
Meaning, you know what I mean? Meaning like, okay, I can't make a decision. We're neck and neck still, so we have to do another round. Well, clearly at that point,
we need Derek ahead.
Before the last comparison, Hadi would have been ahead to me. If you had, I think most people would have been like, yeah, Hadi should be ahead right now for night 2.
Right.
So why bring him out for another round? It is a little confusing because Hadi clearly at that point had won night 2.
You can't tell me that's not a little sus.
I don't want to say it is, but
okay.
it is.
You're right. I won't put. I know you're. I won't put you on that.
But I agree. I think that hey, once again, shout out to the winner. But for storytelling's sake, it's pretty beautiful.
Right. It's
almost
like
beautiful.
Storyboarded.
Yes. Dude, could it? I mean, hey, we keep on thinking all this crazy tinfoil hat shit.
Marcus, what did I say on my predictions podcast with you? I changed my prediction at the last minute too.
Yeah, that's a good call.
because I heard the story.
Triple crown.
It kept ringing in my head. Oh, he's gonna be triple crown. He's gonna be triple crown. And then he could be the next Jay Cutler because he wins after losing. Guys,
when I say this is not because I will come out and say it clear as day. I think Derek won night 1. 100%. That's my. I think Derek won night 1. Night 2, I think Hadi won. I think that Andrew should have got a better look. But I will say, for the sake of storytelling, it is beautiful. Tell me it's not the best thing in the world. Yo, I wish I had the brain to sit there and write all this down. But hold on, look, wait a minute. So not only are we gonna have him win? No, I'm not saying that because I don't want to take away from his win because I think he won night 1. So I can't sit there and argue it's not deserving. I can't do that. But for fun's sake, hypothetically, it would be so dope to just be like, look, no, not only are we gonna make him perform last and go after the past year's winner, but we're also going to have this happen. This, what I mean? It's just, you can't write. This is biblical. You can't write a chapter in the Bible.
So, I really appreciate Andrew being in the mix of this show because now it's no longer just, people in 2023 were saying, oh, you're just you must be an undercover Iranian. You just love Hadi. You're automatically, you're a Hadi bot. Well, no, because a lot of people are saying Andrew should have won the show or also have been placed ahead of Derek. So it really just shows that people just like more physiques than Derek's. And I really appreciate Andrew for being so good this year. Thank you for being muscular. I mean, if Derek can win, I don't like Andrew as much for being a winner because he has a weaker back. But then again, if Derek is winning, who has a shit front, then why can't Andrew win? But it's because the judges view the back more important with shows that Derek is in. If Derek was not there, I think Andrew would have won the show. If they're not so preoccupied with twisting the standards so Derek wins, I think Andrew could have won.
I think that it is strange to me why he was not put up when he was the clear third place. I didn't know that watching it night one. He was the clear third place competitor, and he did not get a chance in the middle. Mind-blowing. Doesn't make any sense. You see the demeanor towards him. I don't know, man. Shout out to Andrew. I hope he keeps that same flame from this shit and allows it to just may have been work on nothing but motherfucking posing.
Yeah.
And your legs. That's it. Posing and your legs. Where you're positioning your body and your poses and just get some leg size. Your legs look perfect from the front, but just get that width on it a little bit better and just work on the posing. And then you should be Mr. Olympia winner next year. No more arguments too. We don't got to sit there and, play tug of war with Hadi and Derek because the superior physique is Andrews. Call a spade a spade. It's the superior physique up there. Samson too, but he didn't bring it. So Andrew gets the rightful, just do this year. He brought it. Look at this. We want to obsess over the glutes. Pause, but look at the glutes. Look at, dialed in more than ever.
Also, why don't, we're talking about improvements. Andrew arguably made the biggest improvement in the show. Besides Derek's legs, Andrew's condition finally met its mark. So
that's what we thought was going to happen with Samson.
Why are we not automatically putting him on a pedestal because, he made these improvements? That automatically means he's the best, right?
You can argue that he got third place. So,
should have been second.
I mean, like I said, if I was judging that show, I think that my most standout physique on that stage was Andrew. He brought what was necessary. I think that if Samson brought this, guess what? Samson would have won. And what I mean by that is I think they would have rewarded Samson for bringing this type of conditioning and still keeping this size.
Without a doubt. Their storyline makes a whole lot more sense with a physique like Samson's instead of Derek's. I would be all hyped for the Triple Crown thing if it was Samson and he kept bringing his 2024 Olympia package. I mean, seeing Derek win, it just makes me have a newfound appreciation for Samson. But anyway, you want to watch part 2? There's not a whole lot to talk about in regards to part 2. I think it's just Martin, Samson, and maybe Nick.
I didn't know there was a part 2 out. Shit. Look at that.
Yeah. Hold on.
I am curious what he would say about all that, to be honest. That's interesting.
What do you think he'd say about your physique?
Well, he'd probably tell me to lose weight right now.
Keep up the good work. You'll be Miss Olympia in no time.
We had Andrew Jack.
I got a better chance of that. It's Mr. Olympia for a reason, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, let's get into this. I imagine it's not as long as the first one. Yeah. So
next up, we had Andrew Jack in third place. For me, I think this was by far Andrew's best look of his career. I was very, very impressed with what he brought to the stage. This was definitely the most conditioned Andrew has ever been while still keeping a lot of muscle on his frame. Obviously, he was pretty conditioned once before at the Arnold a couple of years ago, but he just lost too much of his muscle and looked a little bit stringy at that show. This was not the case here. For me, Andrew has some very, very strong poses, but also some weaker poses. That is the difference on what put him behind the top two guys. So for Andrew,
I couldn't agree more. But the same thing could be said about Derek Lunsford. Awful poses, but a couple of pretty good ones. But anyway.
Andrew, I think his front double bicep is great. Obviously, his upper body is great in this pose. For the legs, I felt like this was the best that his legs actually look from the front when it comes to separation and detail to the quads, but also actually, in my opinion, the size and the leg width and what the space it took up on stage. I still think he could use just slightly more leg width and size to those quads, though, from the front to really complete the pose. But front double looked really, really good. His front lat spread, in my opinion, was the best out of the top 4. The 3D look and the width and everything that he displays in that front lat spread, the thickness to the chest, the detail, the outer arms and shoulders look great here. And even his legs, they just flow so well, I think, because of how good his upper body looks. So front lat spread, very, very strong. Moving to the side chest, while I think he's hitting the side chest better than he previously did, there still has got to be a way to tinker with this pose to make it look more comfortable for him. And obviously just to make it look more pleasing as well, because his upper body should look very, very dominant in this pose no matter what. Now you get to the lower body. Obviously, this is where you see he needs more of that size to his legs, needs more of that density, that thickness. He could use more, obviously, of that hamstring drop, but overall just density to these side legs as well. That's going to really make this pose stronger. So there's kind of issues with both the upper and the lower body here. That's what makes this a weaker pose. And he's obviously on the right track. He's continuing to improve it. I'm sure they're going to keep figuring out ways to improve it as well.
Yes, at the Arnold, he was winning this pose.
Yeah, like it just seems like do what Hadi's doing. Bring it around.
He's one guy that actually needs to be more closed off than opened up. He needs to be more stacked. He needs to really twist more, crunch, like you were saying, crunch down on the abs. Make sure the pecs are still open enough, but still, he'll never be the thickest because there's just so much space to fill in.
Yeah, but still,
he can close himself off in such a way that doesn't look narrow, but still stacks all these muscle groups on top of each other. So there's no gaps or lankiness.
I mean, if he just does a little bit of what Samson's doing, because Samson's not, I feel like, who's hitting this best is Hadi, but I feel like Samson's doing it to give himself justice. Like it's good for his physique, 100%. And I just feel like if Andrews did a little bit more of that, just a little bit, it would just, and it can't be like a mobility issue or anything like that, because the dude's so, like, I mean, maybe it is, I don't know, but like, it's just, I mean, this dude's one of the most flexible on that stage. So, I mean, just turn a little bit more into it, man.
Turn it into his strength. And I think once the upper or the lower body becomes very, very good, it can counteract whatever the weakness is. So on the right track here, but that's what's holding him back. And while we're on the side, might as well go into the side tricep. It's the same thing here. I think flexibility, if he got a little bit more flexible, can help with his arm placement, how he's reaching back and everything else. Because he's trying to reach back so far, I think it's making his upper body twist in a direction, again, that makes his upper body, it's not displaying everything in the most pleasing manner. So we're not seeing the detail and, throughout his upper body. The midsection doesn't look as good as it could. And because of this twisting, I think, again, it's hard for him to do the leg placement, and he needs more to his legs here as well. So again, his arms are good. So I think this pose and his midsection is really, really good. His abs are great. So I think if he's able to keep figuring out this pose, it can become a strength for sure. I think maybe flexibility is the key part for him here. Going into the back poses, his back double has definitely improved. He was doing a pretty good job of keeping it open the whole entire time. Sometimes he was pinching a little bit throughout the middle of his back. I still feel like he could just use a little bit more of that thickness and density back there, but overall was definitely impressed with how it came up. I just think, again, you just see it's behind those top two guys here. And again, the lower body, this is the first time that he was conditioned throughout his hamstring and his glutes and kept leg size from the back, but you see he just needs more leg width when comparing to all three of the other guys in the top four. He doesn't have that same leg width and that same leg density that they have. The back lat spread, I thought, was one of his most improved poses. He finally opened his back up all the way. He still displayed thickness and depth and detail to it in this back lat spread pose. I was honestly very, very impressed with how his back looked in this pose. Again, what I said for the back double bicep, for the lower body.
I didn't see this pose. I'm actually quite impressed with his back lat spread.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could make the argument.
Make it.
It's up there. I mean, to me, I do like that you could see a good bit of hamstrings for Samson, good size. But no, I mean, dude, overall that polish of the upper back, and he's now matching it as far as that conditioning in the lower body. I think Andrew is probably one of the most impressive on that stage in this shot.
still stands in this pose, but overall I thought very, very impressive and compared very well against Hottie and Samson in this pose. Then we move to the front. Ab and thigh is always one of Andrew's strongest poses. I feel like it's between him and Hottie for the best abdominal and thigh poses probably right now in the pro league, so that's always going to be a strength for him. And then favorite most muscular pose, I think he definitely looks the best where he's doing the crab where his hands are over top of each other, they're in close, you see the thickness throughout the chest, the size and the peak of his arms, and the detail with the shoulders. His legs as well look good here. So again, Andrew brought a very impressive package, and I think he is on the right track to really challenging anybody, whether it's the two guys that beat him here, whether it's Samson, whether it's a couple of the other guys that placed a little bit below. I think he is on the right track where if they can bring this kind of polish and conditioning and add a little bit of tissue in the right places, the sky is the limit for this guy, and I'm super excited to see what happens in 2026 with him. Next up,
I mean, there's not a whole lot to say that hasn't been said. I'd like to see Andrew do nothing else but an off season, but I know he's going to do a couple more shows.
Yeah, and he's a type, and I feel like he screams somebody who's going to go make the money and chase a bag before whatever. But one good thing from what Tyler is saying is when you really look at that, he had him up there with the best of them when it came to his back lat spread. So right now, you're telling me that front double, front lat spread, back lat spread, throw another pose in there, he's winning out of everybody out of this top 4, 3 to 4 of the poses.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good sign for Andrew. If I'm looking at this and Andrew and I'm trying to tunnel vision this situation, I'm really listening to what one of the head judges is saying. I'm gonna look at that and think, hold on. Well, if I'm doing the math correctly, I could fuck around and win this.
He doesn't even need to win the other poses. He just needs to make them not as glaring issue. He doesn't need to have. He doesn't need to be the most conditioned. He doesn't need to have the best back.
Because he's winning both front shots hands down. He's now literally has a back lat spread that to me is the better of these 4 gentlemen on that stage, or right up there with him. Right there. And now you go and compare a most muscular, things like that. All of a sudden, this dude's winning predominantly a good bit of these poses.
I mean, look at this shot. That's the best, most muscular that we saw out of the top 4.
For me, it's paused.
Oh, my bad. I forgot. I was on. I was looking at IG. Give me a second. Yeah, I was over here going through my goon folder and I found this.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's and it's not even, put it this way, I don't even like I like other ways of hitting that pose, and there's no that's just straight muscle coming through and prevailing. Look at the quads, look at the shoulders, look at the chest, look how deep that chest is in the middle.
That's real muscle. That's not that's no Derek Lunsford beach ball condition bullshit. This is real quality muscle. It is what it is. Chris Aceto says Aura was on point. That's crazy.
What did he say?
Aura was on point. Why does this 50-year-old lesbian know what Aura is? I think he tagged his son. Is that what it is? No.
Yeah, Chris Aceto done shocked me on 2 occasions already in this. One, the way he handled the Derek Lunsford questions, and then bringing up Andrew's Aura.
Well, anyway, we know Andrew's going to do Romania for sure. I wouldn't be, and that's in November. I wouldn't be surprised if he does something else, but he's already qualified for the Olympia because he was top 3.
Well, hey.
He's just doing this for the love of the game. I don't know what the prize money is here. I don't know if it says it. No, probably not. It's probably the Romania Pro is a pretty big show, so I imagine it's maybe a little more than. I was going to say a little more than the the regular pro show, but if these are the pro show totals, 15,000 is, Maybe it's not. Maybe, so he really is just doing it for the love of the game. He really is.
Maybe he likes Romania. Maybe it's a nice trip.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm being honest. That is a weird. Or maybe he had. Maybe he's getting a little extra buck for it. Maybe rather
he might do Prague as well. if he's doing Romania, there's really no reason not to do Prague.
I hope he does Prague because he will shake that thing up. Because right now, Martin and Keon are comparable. They are comparable. Like to where Andrew goes in there and it shakes it the hell up. Because it's no longer the situation to where, because I do think that Keon can mess around and pull off the well, I'll say it, the upset, because he is a man coming up to the open division. So he can pull the upset. I believe he can. He has an impeccable shape, and I think he needs to come in lesser. I think he needs to come in a little more polished. He doesn't have to be 211.9.
He doesn't need to be
a little bit.
He doesn't need to be big.
He
looks insane with his proportions.
Yeah, he will stand out. And Martin's one of those people to where he has the same situation to where Martin doesn't look the biggest, but then when he gets into those poses, it's like, oh my goodness. So it is a good matchup. It's a good matchup to where Andrew can come in and just fuck it up for both of them, man. Right. Andrew could win that show. And it would be a clear win is the thing. And that's not to say that it would be clear, but if he was to come in and win, I think it'd be very clear.
I want to say, we need more of this, by the way. Putting the judging panel out. I don't like how there's more women on this than men. And that's not necessarily sexism, but a little bit. But I get that we have more women's division than men, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But
and honestly, I'm all like, to me, it's like with boxing judges for boxing. If you've been around, if you've done it, you know, hey, girl or boy. If anything, I would rather have a girl judge my body than a boy.
I wouldn't. But anyway, we should look some of these people up sometime. I don't know if they're in the industry, if they're former coaches. I don't know anything about these people, but aside from Steve Weinberger, all European judges, which is interesting. Besides, of course, Steve Weinberger. But yeah, I at least like how they put them out there. These judges, it's not a jury. Okay. This is an event, a competitive event. We need to, this shouldn't be anonymous. Not even all juries are anonymous. And so, you show your face in court. These people, could you tell me who judged the Olympia besides Steve and Tyler? Tarek?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
But yeah, good to see
but
that.
I do like that. And they need transparency from here on out.
Yes.
If they're smart and they want to be ahead of the game, they need transparency.
Let's get back to the video.
Fourth place, we had Samson. For me, basically, it looks like what happened with Samson is he tried to come in more conditioned like we wanted to see from him, but his condition, you could tell his skin was definitely thinner than it used to be. But while doing this, the separation and detail that I'm sure a lot of people were thinking were going to be brought out wasn't really brought out. And in doing this, he sacrificed a lot of his size, and especially in his back and in his legs. The back, I guess, would make a little bit more sense because we know that's always his one body part that he needs to continue to work on improving. But his legs have always been a very, very big strength of his. I think it was very surprising to see that he just lost that volume and that density to his legs. You could see it from all angles, whether it was from the front, you just didn't see that same outer sweep and that same leg width across his legs from the front. You saw from the side, his legs didn't look quite as big as well. And then from the back again, when you're missing that sweep, it just takes a little bit away from that width. So I guess really for him, while they're figuring out his body, he finally brought in and tried to bring in that really crisp conditioning look, but it just seems like he had to over diet and lose too much of his muscle. So I really think for him, this can be more of a one-off show. They try to do that, so probably they're going to go back to the formula that had him in those top spots the past 2 years. Maybe there's a way for him to basically get back to that volume that he had when he won the Olympia last year, that conditioning that he had when he won the Olympia. If it's possible for him to just take that maybe a touch further, that would probably be his best overall look, but he definitely cannot sacrifice that fullness and roundness because everybody was probably thinking that he could come in better condition and keep that fullness and roundness, and that was what's going to make him so hard to handle and so deadly. So yeah, really for him, I just think they tried to bring the condition and lost the muscle, and that explains why he ended up in fourth here. He just didn't have enough next to all three of the guys ahead of him in too many of the poses, but nothing I think really to get discouraged about. I think he can rebound very quickly from this, and I think 2026 still looks as bright as ever for him. Next up,
I don't even think his condition was all that good, to be honest.
Well, I think it's that trade-off of the lack of fullness is not going to showcase the good conditioning. I mean, because you could see certain parts where there was, even in the arms, the arms, so you say biceps, the arms, you could see there was some good detail. But I mean, the issue is there was no fullness. There's nothing to show. There's nothing to show.
True. For Samson, it's going to be one or two things, and the divide couldn't be more stark. It's going to be he'll just never crack the code, and that's probably what's going to happen, or he'll only be able to crack the code so much. Like we've never seen him 100% Samson, and 90% is enough to win. We know that.
Yeah,
but how often can you hit that?
Well, and don't you feel like with this conditioning, right? So clearly he's down. He's brought down. He's conditioned. He is probably at the lowest weight he's been in a while on stage, whatever, right? Wouldn't you suggest for him to, I don't think he has to by any means, but wouldn't he shut up a lot of people if simply it was just a situation of he didn't get full enough, he didn't fill out correctly, he didn't have enough time, whatever it be? Wouldn't you, with this newfound conditioning that you're at, showcase, try it out, even if it's behind the scenes?
He's been hinting at that. He's been hinting at that he'll do prog or something. He's done prog before, multiple times.
I mean, it would be put it this way: if it's true, and if it was simply, because this is the thing, clearly it sucks because I even heard Akeem say something about it, that he was doing like 2 a days pretty much. He was literally training, not just doing cardio, then training twice a day, and he was seeing improvements in places he hasn't seen before. Loved what it was looking like, and it failed when he got on stage. It didn't look how it was supposed to. He didn't peak correctly. It wasn't there, right? The size wasn't there. And whoever wants to be the judge of that, spectators feel like he didn't bring the best package. It wasn't, it just wasn't that. But the point is, for someone like Samson, if it is the same situation, if he literally just went and just gritted for X amount of time and was able to get this low with his conditioning, why not stay there and try it out? Stay there, really put it to the test before you go and do the opposite, which is just come in full next year or at the Arnold or whatever it be. I think he should try it out. It's not going to hurt nobody. I mean, he already lost.
Right. I'd love to see him do prog because I really, you can't, even though it's one bad showing, we got to see the real damage. Like, is he actually missing muscle? Like, is it an actual filling out issue? I think he should do that for his own benefit. Do another show. He's qualified
safer than that, though. Personally, depending, I would hate to go to Prague and lose, and I think that Prague is going to be a weird show, right? So
he could do one of these, the UK or Mexico show, yeah,
go down to Mexico. Shoot, Tonio's going to be there, Regan's going to be there. A good little lineup. Hassan, let's give him some notable people.
The Spain Pro, the big man weekend with Akeem.
Yeah, when is that show?
November or maybe December. Actually, I don't know.
No, that's a little far out to me because my whole point is so that he can keep this same level of conditioning, meaning this weight, whatever he's at, how low he is, because I mean the Tyler dude said it best. He said his skin looked thinner, right? So that's a telltale that okay, he is in newfound condition. He's at a lower weight than usual. I'd like to see if it can actually transfer it. I think just for the sake of it, if do it like practice, take a trial run. Clearly, you're saying, okay, this is a trial, miserable miss. Well, try it again. The correct way.
The Japan Pro.
Well, I'm talking. What is this? 10? I'm talking. Go. What is like?
Right. He shouldn't be looking at shows like this.
Yeah. I'm November 8th, the latest.
You have this,
and that's pushing it.
Poland show, which is interesting. But sooner than that, so we just had the Olympia here. This is Masters. You have this British Grand Prix. This is the British show we're talking about. I mean, and then you have this Mexico Pro show.
He's UK.
He can maybe come off and do the Spain Natural Pro.
There you go.
You think that'd be allowed?
What I'm talking about. No. But I mean, dude, the British Grand Prix, why not? Like, he's a UK brother, and so you know what I mean. Like, go do that one.
Right,
that's 2 days out. I mean, there's no word of it.
Sadly. But yeah, there's no word of it. But it would be crazy if that update we saw from when was it? Let's see. This update is from today. Oh yeah, it's from today. But wouldn't it be crazy if he did just drive over there and did the this show, but he's not on the list. Sasan and James are. Crizzo is on the show, looking actually really good. Oh, Joan Pradles, I think it's Joanne Pradles, is doing the show. Pablo is. I don't know if it's lupus or not, but I'm familiar with his physique. Pablo is. Andrea Muzi is doing this. But just to pop up, I got to show you this update of Crizzo.
Yeah, Crizzo's one of those ones, man.
It's just the posing. The back is weak. Yeah, it could be so much better if you didn't pose it like an idiot.
He looks like he'd pose funny. I mean, if you look at his face, he just looks like he'd be a funny
right.
Poser.
He looks like a big
big Dr. Seuss character or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, this guy is this. I mean, dude, once he pulls it together, it might be it's tough for everybody. Because even at the New York Pro, he looked he had an impressive look to him. It's just, got to get that posing.
Right. It's just, I mean, come on. Why are the arms uneven? They look like they're in different starting points. Like he has a shoulder girdle that's 4 inches higher on this side.
Not much symmetry with that one.
Side chest.
I feel like him and Good Vito both have like a similar.
That's a good matchup. I got to write that one down. That's a good
honestly
one.
Because it's and they both have some of the same issues.
Right. Vito, Crizzo. I mean that's abysmal. That's awful.
Crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so unfortunate because it could look so much better. But anyway, let's finish this up because I don't think he talks about Nick. I think he just talks about Martin.
Deadly. So really for him, I just think they tried to bring the condition and lost the muscle, and that explains why he ended up in fourth here. He just didn't have enough next to all three of the guys ahead of him in too many of the poses, but nothing I think really to get discouraged about. I think he can rebound very quickly from this, and I think 2026 still looks as bright as ever for him. Next up in fifth, we had Martin Fitzwater. For me, Martin made sure he came in very, very conditioned at this show, which obviously normally is a good look for him, and I still thought was a very solid look for him, but I think, again, he's another guy that while doing this, I think he lost just a touch too much of his size to do this. You could see, for me at least, his legs from the front, he just didn't have that same width and that same size that he normally has. And I think that affected with how he looked from the front a little bit. For Martin, too, obviously, one of the main things is he can improve his
prejudging, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, which finals is better for both of these guys, but whatever.
His back, he can still improve that thickness and depth to his back, and
I don't think that's what Martin needs to do to improve his back. The thickness and depth is certainly there. It's width and then the overall posing. He's got to open that up. I mean, he has one of the thicker backs out there.
Yeah, he poses his back interesting, and I don't know how else to call it. It's an interesting way, especially I actually like the way he does his back lat spread. It's different, but I like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the width as well. I think in the back double and the back lat spread, he can improve the.
Well, interestingly poor. There's an asymmetry in the back here. He's just gotta, when he gets out there, he's ready to, when he gets out there, he's like, oh yeah, it's time to go. You can see it in his eye. He gets nervous. And it's just like, calm down.
Martin, right? Martin?
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing, and I feel like you could tell he was just like, he was amped. And I honestly think it's because he was beating Nick. I really do. I think he was amped.
Right. But.
Or that he looked good.
Calm down. Let's just hit some shots.
Look at the leg width of Nick.
I mean, next to Curry, no less, which is just a mind-blowing comparison. I got a comparison coming out. Best Nick versus best Brandon Curry.
There we go. There's something to be said about Tonio, man. The front poses and in these poses, Tonio has been very impressive. Very impressive.
Tonio could have beaten Brandon.
I think that Tonio...
Sean Ray said Tonio should have beaten Nick and Brandon. Tonio should have been sixth.
And I think that there is I would like to see Martin and Tonio right now. They look good next to each other. Not bad at all. Different, but
very
Tonio's
complete.
not getting beat heavily.
The other, the two on the left are a lot more similar than the two on the right, even though they're both groups are very different.
Yeah.
The group on the right has like obvious weaknesses, the legs for Curry from the back and the rear, and then Nick has the midsection. The other two don't have weaknesses from a muscularity standpoint.
Yeah, they have weakness. Yeah. I don't want to, because they have weaknesses. Genetic, like, Tonio is yeah.
They're both on the smaller side. I think they both need to get bigger.
Yes. Oh, and
But
now you're contradicting what what you said earlier.
No, from a muscularity standpoint, in terms of the body parts, they don't have weaknesses. I mean, maybe you want to say Tonio's delts are a bit of an issue, or maybe you
narrow, but he has a narrow look. But
sure. Or Martin's biceps are slightly an issue, but like in terms of like, there's nothing like a Derek's chest or Brandon's legs on these guys. They don't have weaknesses of that degree.
I can't wait for these. Like these two specifically, I want to eventually see them be some front runners, because
they could be your top two next year.
I mean, hey, give it next couple years. I think that both
that'd be crazy.
They could be top 5. They both have the ability, as long as they keep going the trajectory. Wait, say, oh yeah, true. You already got there. But Tonio,
thickness in the.
I know you love Tonio.
I do. I've always had a. It's not even a bias. I really like his compact physique. It's a little low rider pit bull look.
You were trying so hard not to say soft spot.
Maybe, I don't know. Probably.
With there, that's going to start making him look stronger in those back poses. It's also going to help him from the front as well. I think the front double he looks great in. His taper is great, but when it comes to the front lat spread, you can see he can't quite get those lats out all the way yet in that front lat spread, so that hinders him in that pose. Side poses look solid as usual. Again, the conditioning was there and the detail was there. And then, of course, his ab and thigh and his most muscular are great poses for him. So overall, I think very solid showing for Martin. It's just, can he bring in conditioning that's like this or basically almost on par with it while still keeping a little bit more volume as well? So a little bit of a similar boat as Samson, except for Martin, when he's in the condition, you see that separation and that he has that kind of gnarly conditioning. It's just, can he add that little bit more volume back so he can hang with the guys that are a little bit bigger than him? Next up in 6, we had Nick. I think Nick's condition, this condition wasn't really bad, but he just wasn't really on. And when I say on, like everything was a little bit flat for him. He didn't really have the greatest pop to his physique. I think the main issue for Nick was his waist just appeared very wide, I would say, on stage. He did a better job of keeping his midsection controlled for sure, but the waist just seemed very wide in a lot of the poses, especially when you're looking at him from the front double and the front lat spread, even the ab and thigh.
Again, prejudging, not finals.
Just he has deep abs and deeply separated abs, but the waist just looked really thick. And even when he was doing his most muscular, which is still a very strong pose, you can see that waistline just wasn't coming in as much as it has in the past. Even as recently as Pittsburgh, I thought that waistline was definitely tighter. So his back double bicep was great. His back lat spread is great. You can see he definitely improved both these poses again. They're very, very strong poses. His legs look great from the back and have that amount of density and muscle. But when it comes to Nick, he just really has to work on bringing in that midsection and having the right pop to his physique. And again, because the midsection got wider, I don't know if the legs, especially from the front, the quads actually went down, or I think it's just the illusion of the waist being a little bit wider. So that's what happened there with Nick. Overall, though, I think these guys did a great job of competing and bringing the best that they possibly could to the stage, and they made it a very exciting Mr. Olympia.
I can't hear you.
Said great final words from Tyler. Really, really unique and inspiring. In regards to Nick, Tyler mentioned this. I don't think the waist itself got that much wider. I think the legs hurt him. The legs being down in size made the waist a combination of the waist getting a tiny bit thicker and the legs coming down in size. That makes all the difference in the world for Nick, the brick talker. But with that said, I mean, this pose he was just sitting wrong. I don't know why he would elongate his torso. He just can't do that anymore. But like any other pose, I prefer Nick at the Olympia.
The cool thing is they're comparing Pittsburgh there, right? That's what they're doing. It's all Pittsburgh versus
Yes, and this is Pittsburgh versus Finals Nick. I prefer Finals Nick. I don't think that's crazy to say.
No, there's it almost looks, it's weirdly, and it's a lot of good improvements in that side chest.
Look, I said this. I don't mean to sound so aggressive there. Look, I said this, and I'm going to do a video about this. Maybe you want to partake as well. But I think Nick's problem is that at these bigger shows, when everyone is there, his shape, he almost gets lost because of it, because of his lack of shape. And then we're in an era where every guy has good shape. The whole top 5 had better shape ahead of him, and the whole top five below him, had better shape than him. That's the issue. And even though he whoops someone like Derek, he whoops their ass in condition and muscularity on all the poses, and in my opinion, should beat a physique like Derek's, he won't ever get the nod at the bigger shows. And I think for all intents and purposes, and I won't harp on this too much because we'll make another video, and I already talked about this in our previous podcast, I think Nick is done at big shows. They're not going to give him the nod. He lost the Arnold in 2023 to a inferior version of Samson just because he had better shape. Pittsburgh, he lost because Derek had better shape, even though that shouldn't be the case. Even in 2022, he lost to Derek, and Derek was still looking like a 212 competitor. And then now in 2025 at the Olympia, I think especially at finals, he could have been higher. Judges didn't even give a fuck. So
yeah, I wouldn't hope so quickly. I wouldn't
right.
Because I do think that it would be a different storyline if he showed up night 1 the way he did on night 2. And I think that for his sake, he has to really believe that. I mean, he has to know with Kyle Wilkes being, this never having an Olympian, it being their second time even going to a show together, if I'm not mistaken. I personally would keep hope alive, because there's a lot of things that worked against him. The biggest one being how he showed up on night 1. I think if he can show up how he did on night 2 with the correct posing, crunch down the abs, it's a different game we're talking. It's a different game.
I think Nick was artificially hyped up going into the Olympia. I never believed he could win. I thought that was dumb, even though I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I think it's dumb. I like Nick's physique. Again, Nick's physique should be beating Derek's, and by that logic, it should be Mr. Olympia. So is it a Mr. Olympia worthy physique? In my opinion, it is, but I think that I'm in the minority on that, especially to the people that matter. But after Pittsburgh, nothing from Nick's trajectory fundamentally changed. We all saw it. All the fans saw it. The Pittsburgh Pro version was one of his best ever, if not the best ever version he brought. We saw the improvement for sure. The judges didn't care, because at the end of the day, they still gave it to Derek, who was more than undeserving. Less than undeserving, I should say. So, what was the critique in 2024? The New York Pro version was really bad. A lot of people said Martin could have beat him there. And then he pulls out of the 2024 Olympia. Nick Talker. Nick is done. And then he brings a good version of Pittsburgh, but regardless of version, he doesn't win Pittsburgh, even though Derek sucks. So fundamentally, the trajectory of him losing these bigger shows because he can't hack it in terms of the shape has not changed. So I don't see, I disagree with that. If Derek can win, Nick should most certainly be winning. And I'm not a Nick Walker hater. I'm really not. But we got to be real. The judges don't like his physique, and I think he's kind of cooked for these bigger shows. He'll always qualify for the Olympia. He'll get there for sure, but he's not going to get the nod over someone like Derek, even though he deserves it, because shape just matters too much.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not jumping ship as sudden. All right, because I do think that
right.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be just because. And yeah, going into it, I understand why people are, because I thought that Nick was the difference maker in the sense of when you compare these guys. When you compare the people who were assuming he's going to be in the top 4, top 5, he has the ability to stick out. In this case, what I'm speaking of, for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. I think at this show, night 1, he stuck out for the wrong reasons. I think that he has a lot of the attributes needed to make a difference and shake up the top 5, but he needs to show up both nights looking, his best. Same thing can be said for Andrew. I think that if Andrew shows up night 1 the way he did night 2, not to say there was this drastic difference, but he looked better night 2, Andrew. He looked way more like it was a very good looking Andrew night 2 specifically. So I think that just like him, if he showed up night 1 with that similar presentation, I don't know, man. We could be talking a different tune right now. But the issue is, I think at the Olympia stage, you need that nod. Oh, damn. I never saw this video.
Yeah, that's rough. But I mean, look, maybe we can do this comparison. At finals, I have Nick top 2.
Well, I'm shocked at how. Well, my issue is, I mean, it's too good. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, well, no, because they did justice. In the one pose I was looking at, it looked like they crapped on Derek and then nobody else, but it looks like the same edits for each person.
Right. I think these are all from the same person. If I'm not mistaken, I think these are all from Stage Time Photo, Jeff Robinson's account. Good account, by the way. Give him a follow. So they're all using the same photographer's photos. Someone can fact check that. Maybe I can. But they're all edited photos. But Nick's do look a little gnarlier. But to be fair, he just is a gnarlier physique. Like, there's those. I don't know if Derek had a finals version. I wouldn't post it. Here's Hottie's finals.
Yeah. And they might have made the thumbnail him holding up the trophy. I don't know. I'm just saying.
And then, I don't know.
You see to the left there?
I mean, come on. Come on. What are we looking at? This is insane. It's so crazy. It makes me want to stop watching the Olympia, and I can't even front. I'm just so disheartened. I mean, looks like he had a little help backstage. Gee, Marcus. Marcus.
I'm not gonna stray away from what I'm saying, which is, I know you have your opinion and I respect it. I just, I think that night 1, he was the champion. Night 2, Hottie was the champion.
Holy, this is so bad. This is so bad.
Well, remember, what you're doing with his arms right now is what people do with Nick's midsection. And that's an issue, right?
You know what's crazy? In terms of the actual abs, Nick blows Derek out of the water.
100%. I have this argument with people sometimes because it's like, his midsection is sometimes not the best. He has to keep it in check. But as far as abs go, Nick has some of the best abs. I mean, Nick's abs are incredible.
It looks like to me, I was right. These are all from Stage Time Photo, if I'm not mistaken.
These look so much better than the other one. You know what I'm saying? Like, these look like.
Maybe they're from Gannicus.
I want this edit on all my photos that I don't post.
Right. Yeah, maybe they're from this account. Oh, I won't be able to find them now since he's posting updates. Maybe here? No. No. Yes, I think these are the photos. So I stand corrected. Yeah, because Nick's in transition there, kind of, because the hands are separated. I think these are the photos we're supposed to be looking at. I mean,
the edit looks more like that one, just they're angled. So the ones that we were just seeing looked more angled, but it looks like the same editing style.
I'd have Nick winning, well, just over Derek. Nick winning that pose. Side chest is pretty close because Derek has the fuller chest, but I mean, Nick looks like a tank.
Well, the issue is in that side chest, they both look like they're destroying Hottie.
That's insane. That is insane.
This is a I said it in Pittsburgh, and I know people are trying. Oh, yeah, no, I think that Nick has arguably one of the the best back double in the IFBB Pro right now.
Yeah. So overall, I think Nick is simultaneously off, especially at the prejudging.
Yeah.
But he didn't even get that look at the finals, and I think that should tell you something. It says that the judges, one, are kind of lazy with their judging, and we know that. That goes for everybody in every show. But two, I think, Nick brings a package that's more than capable of beating someone like Derek, is more than capable of being top 3. They don't even put him in that call out. They don't even try. That's insane. That is insane. And I think it's a little more targeted at Nick, not specifically because he's Nick Walker, but because he has Nick Walker shape. And that's the odd category out right now. But anyway, overall, what did you think of Tyler Manion's thoughts?
I think it was a smart move to do night 1 if you're trying to showcase why Derek won, because I agree. I do think that, not looking at it pose for pose, when I watched it from my crappy live stream, I hated the color on the stream. I will say that the color for the stream was really dark, but when I looked at it, I had Derek winning. So I think it was a good move. I liked everything he said about the part 2. Part 2, he was spot on.
Part 2 was fine because he wasn't trying to make a case for.
Yes, and you can tell with certain verbiage that it was much more smooth. Part 2. Part 1, you can tell he was having that inner. You knew he knew he was gonna get some
right.
Some slack, and I get it. And you're going to anybody is. This is the thing, is depending on who your circle is, who you're talking to, and the sad thing is he has to talk to a whole group of bodybuilding spectators. You're going to say things to favor, whether it's your opinion or not. You understand why he won, so you have to present it in a way. I noticed that from how I am on here compared to the Muscle Maturity podcast. I have to present something a certain way on the Muscle Maturity podcast so that it can be accepted by the peers that I'm with at that moment. You get what I'm saying? So
you can say anything you want to me.
but even still, like, because with this one, it's like, okay, I'm aware that you're a little bit, on the opposite end of Derek, to where I might try to say in a way to get you more on the side of understanding why I might give Derek this pose. And I think that's really what Tyler Manion was doing. I think he was trying to convince people that probably he knew or assumed weren't going to be convinced or were going to have a tough time.
Was it convincing? I don't think it was, objectively.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing is, was he convincing? Yes. But did it convince anybody? The issue is, you see what I did there, right? Because, you can it's convincing because the way he's saying certain things, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Oh, he brought this, he brought that. There was a fullness. Look at the legs. He's talking to what I'm seeing. I see the legs. I had
a good counterpoint for everything.
Rightfully so.
So I just opened my eyes and used common sense. I'm not smarter than anybody else. Well, maybe the majority of my audience, but shout out to the audience. I love you, but you need to bow to your leader, of course, which is Derek Lunsford. Obviously, he's our Olympia champion.
Yes, he's Mr. Olympia, breaking records, triple crown, and the first one to do it since Jay.
He's better than Jay. If you ask Tyler Manion,
dude. And I will say this: the pec tear. He had some adversary, man.
True, he did, yeah.
Jesus.
And to be fair, I will say I couldn't tell, and I think, not to be like rude, but I think it's because his chest always is bad and watery. It did kind of cover up any cosmetic thing that may have been going on. I didn't notice it.
It may have been more noticeable on somebody else. Yes, I get what you're saying. That, but hey, the heavens was there with him for that one, in the sense of it didn't make the physique look god awful. It did not. He had a better physique than what I've seen from him.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna end it off with just this, and I'm gonna put it in the thumbnail, on the title too. I agreed with Tyler from third place down, but in the top two, he did bring up some points that he thought would be convincing.
Yeah.
And I think anyone with a brain could immediately shut those down or find a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing rewarding improvements over who's better on this day? But on some things, he wants to say it's better to be better on the day than have improvements, or he doesn't want to acknowledge improvements of other athletes, or giving. I mean, okay, giving Derek the front lat spread. Are we are we serious? That is.
It's funny when I was
looking
at that it was the front lat spread on the screen just now. And I'm like, God, this is crazy because from every which angle, it makes a difference. So depending on your seat, depending on everything, it makes a hell of a difference. Because even looking at it from whatever stadium seat that was, it didn't do Derek justice. But hey.
Or maybe he's just not good at the pose. No, giving Derek the front lat spread is insane.
And I think didn't I do that though?
You're not out of the woods either.
No, I said didn't I do that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why
I can't believe that. You two must be in cahoots.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. I have to counter being on this podcast in some form or fashion. I have to. I have to. Because
this is so much worse than Derek's.
No, dude, that's what I'm saying is that's 100. And I agree. Like, this is my whole point is depending on what the hell you're looking for. Like, I don't like the more, even like Hadi is a much more crisp physique. This is not a good front lat spread. It's not. Like, when I see it like this, it's not. But if I'm comparing it, there is an argument with the overall leg size and things like that.
I don't think so. I don't see an argument. Not with, I mean, there are arguments for different pieces, but as a cohesive argument, it doesn't make sense.
And to counter, my bad. But to counter everything I'm saying, it does look off. Like his front lat spread, it does look off. It does. But I like the fact that his arms look good. His legs look improved. And I don't want to put a microscope on improvements. I'm not trying to, even though that is the way that I think Derek got into all of our hearts, aside from Dylan. But
right, with the 212 to open transformation.
Say it again.
The 212 to open transformation is when everyone was like a fan of his, like that guest posting he did in Pittsburgh. I mean, filling in for Big Ramy. He filled in for Big Ramy, and they're like, "Man, you've really saved us this time. We'll repay you and then some."
Dylan got his tinfoil hat on, man.
But anyway, so you have some, like, from third down, good calls by Tyler, but from the top two, I'm sorry, he just sounds like he's full of shit. It's really, I thought that analysis was probably the worst I've ever seen from Tyler outside of maybe the 2023 video, the 2023 Olympia video. I don't know if I think he did that one, and the top two, it's just utterly insane. Giving Derek the front lat spread. I mean, I'm sorry, you lose a lot of credibility with that one. Even
what if he was just conflicted? What if he was just conflicted? No, what I'm saying is, so remember, his eyes, he's there. So he's seeing much more than the still shots we're seeing, right? He's there. So what I'm trying to get at is, I know looking at the Pittsburgh Pro, incredible seats. I get why anybody would leave that show being like, oh, it was a close one, but nobody could tell me that Nick didn't win. Nick won, but it was very close. So if somebody is seeing it in a similar light against a Hadi who is not as big, Derek dang near had a size advantage against Hadi. Well, he did. He had a huge size advantage against Hadi. So what I'm getting at more so is what it sounded like to me was Tyler was probably on the fence throughout the show. On the fence, right. Meaning I don't know who won. I couldn't pick a clear winner out of Hadi and Derek. I'm trying to speak from Tyler's perspective. So when it comes down to it, I'm also remembering what I saw on that stage. So when I'm looking at this still shot of them in their front lat spread or them in their front double, you can leave this on stage. That's fine. When they're in that shot, I'm remembering what I saw on stage, and a lasting impression was the overall leg width. And hey, depending on what you're paying attention to, if you're paying attention to that width, the girth, pause, all that, you might be in favor of how Derek is looking. If you're gonna head towards more polished, conditioned look, Hadi wins handedly.
It is pretty crazy how everyone that wants to back up Derek is pretty close to him and always talks about the girth. Very interesting.
To say I'm close, or I don't know what you're implying. You might be talking about some other people. I've legit. I don't like.
Well, you guys did do something backstage at the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was it Pittsburgh? It was Pittsburgh. Yeah, it wasn't backstage. It was in a hallway, and it was weird.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah, shut up.
Anyway, Tyler,
and you're saying all that as you're zooming in more and more to his little cock. Come on, man.
Little.
Well, I'm not,
damn, no shade.
I'm not saying. I don't. No. I don't mean that.
Past his belly.
I don't mean that to be. I'm not saying little as his pause. I'm not trying to say his size. That's effed up. I ain't gonna talk about another man's dick size.
Anyway,
unless there's that one Duke who be on stage with the what's his name? You
Bo
know
Lewis,
his name.
I think.
There you go. You know his name.
Anyway,
that'd be the one show I'd get cold feet.
Did this change your mind? Who, if Marcus? I asked you this question at the top. I'll ask you at the bottom. Now it's just slid all the way down.
Pause.
Marcus, who was your ranking? Re-rank the top 3 for me, or maybe keep the ranking the same. What is your ranking of the top 3?
Overall, be specific though. What, like
Marcus is on the judging panel and he just witnessed both nights of judging, and it's time to pass the answers in so Bob can read them.
Derek wins night 1. Hadi wins night 2. Hadi wins night 2 by a bigger margin. Looks better. It is night 2, so to me, it's the finals. I give it to Hadi.
And then Andrew or Derek in second.
Eric or
Derek or Andrew in second.
Who's Eric? Derek or Andrew in second. Well, because of the performance on night 1, Derek gets second because he's already has the amount of points because of night 1. Because, like I said, he was the winner of night 1 to me. That's not to say that Andrew was not the second place winner of night 2. I think that Andrew should have been no lower than second night 2.
I'll give you my top bucket. I'll go Hadi, Martin, Hadi, Martin, Andrew, Nick, Derek, Sampson.
you're yo, the fact that you did an anime laugh and closed your mouth and went back is crazy. Say anybody lost all whatever. You just put Derek in 6th place.
No, let me write it out.
Lose accountability.
Let me write it out. No, Martin is more complete and had better condition top to bottom, front to back than Derek. I can make the case for that. Martin should have certainly beat Sampson. But if we have to keep it realistic, let's say Hadi in second, Derek. I would move Martin up to 3rd, Andrew in 4th, Nick in 5th, Sampson in 6th. I just don't think there's anything special about Sampson this time around. Or maybe you can move him up to 5th so he can get the big Rami treatment of 2022.
I think that you can make an argument for Martin being able to go to bat with Sampson. I agree with you there that, yes, there is a huge chance that, and guess what? Once again,
wasn't compared.
Yes. And I think that's one thing that moving forward, it needs to change. I don't care.
They got to stop being lazy with that.
Yeah, especially for men's open. But the thing is, they were lazy in a sense. They were not lazy when it came to the top 4, aside from the whole Andrew dilemma. That was weird. But they weren't lazy. They gave them their shine. They kept going. They didn't even part with and do this and put. But I think that you really need to break it down.
Look, I do more. For when there's a big show for the Arnold or the Olympia, I literally set aside weeks where I do comparisons and then I have a good idea of where I'm going to predict these guys. That's exactly how it should be. And I get you don't have all day, but like you're telling me Nick couldn't be compared to like Samson at finals to see like, okay, then we can move him up. Or maybe we can drop Samson off so we can narrow down the top
And
3 now.
I wonder why they don't do that. I wonder why. Because we've seen them do it with certain people. Certain people jump up the ranks. We've seen it. Yeah. Akeem did it last year. Somebody else did it this year. I think by like about 2 spots, rather for better or for worse. I think Jordan Hutchinson maybe went up a couple, like a spot or 2 come I want to say finals, or it was the opposite. But it happens, but it doesn't happen on that thing. If I say where it matters. Because, Martin is somebody who could have probably walked up. Brandon Curry. A lot of people feel like Brandon Curry could have placed in front of Nick. That's not to say I agree. I'm just saying a lot of people have that sentiment. So
what is the harm of doing a top 2 call out that takes 1 minute? What is the harm in doing that? Like, oh, we think Brandon and Nick are pretty close. Let's bring them out individually. What is wrong with that?
Yeah, and we saw them do it in Classic, which I thought was weird because I feel like both those gentlemen could have easily moved up even higher. But
and judges or the people that want to say this in the comments, don't give me this bullshit of it would take too long. We have 60 fucking bikini competitors showing their ass on. Oh, now walk to the back of the curtain, girls. Oh, give me a break. We have all the time in the world when it comes to women's divisions, but the men get the short end of the stick, even though they completely prop up this division. It's ridiculous. But this is we're completely getting off track. Tyler kind of full of shit in the top 2. Everyone below is fine. And then Marcus is your biggest fan.
Tyler's? Yeah. I'm Tyler Manion's biggest fan.
You're a big fan of his tism and the quirks. Kind of like me. You like me because of the tism.
I mean, honestly, I'm a sucker for mental health, man. Oh, that's what it is.
I'm a sucker for mental health. What do you mean by that?
I'm just saying, man. I feel like my grandma's always been like, she's always been not attracted, but not here.
She's always been attractive. I can tell you that much.
She 100%. Special people have always been attracted to my grandma. It's like the people who have the the isms and the special, the handy, the handy capable people. She just has this in with them.
It's the energy.
I feel the same.
It's that divine feminine energy. She's in her motherhood era.
I just think the same thing happens. I think it's the same thing. It's like Tyler Manning. I don't want to make any jokes like that. I can make it with you. I don't know Tyler. But yeah, I don't know.
You think we can get him on the show? Not after today.
That'd be awesome.
I wish.
I think we joke too much, but the thing is, Tyler Manion is great. And I actually do agree with most of what he says for the most part, or I'm not going to straight up,
I agree with pretty much everything he does say, besides when Derek or Bonac are involved.
Wait, what? No, I don't even know what you're talking about. What I'm trying to say is, this is the thing. This is an opinionated sport. Everybody's going to have their opinions. It's objective. What I'm getting at is with Tyler Manion, I do think that most of what he says, so I'm not going to say all. Let's hear. I agree more with what he says than I do disagree. Okay. So I agree with more of what he says than I do disagreeing with him. What do you mean, huh? I agree with what he says, like way more than I disagree. Like, I can sit there and I can listen to you talk until you say certain things. Like, you can say the same thing about me, the front last prayer for Derek. You're like, okay, you have a good take until you say that shit. Fuck out of here. With you, Marcus, I'm like, I agree with your point. I agree with your point most of the time. However, when you say shit like Derek should be in 6, I have to be like,
no, I wouldn't put him that low. I do think but here's the point with Derek. You take away his back. The problem is he has a couple of good things, and I do mean glutes and back. Okay. And then but he has a couple of really bad things too. You can take those away too. Everything else in the middle is painfully average.
Well, I think that a lot of people agree with you.
So I don't, 6 may seem harsh to you, and I think, I wouldn't put him 6th.
It's harsh as fuck.
I wouldn't put him 6th, but I would put him lower than a lot of people would think.
I think that Styles.
And I think that's fair.
I think that Martin would fare well against this version of Derek. I think that Martin would fare well. I think that Martin can move up these ranks. I think that night two Nick could have done a lot better.
We'll do that comparison.
But I will say that I wouldn't put Derek below Samson. You know what I mean? So in a normal whatever, and even my bias, I would normally, because I prefer Samson's physique. I like the fullness, the muscularity. I like the shape, of course, to where for me it's just simply this show. Samson can't move up against a Derek. Martin can be compared to Derek. Night 2 Nick, I feel might lose, but could be compared.
Derek's ass.
I mean, like I said, we're not going to see that unless he shows up on night 1. And that's kind of my whole point. It's all smoke and mirrors, even in the sense of we're seeing in real time. He had to show up night 1 the way he did night 2. And
maybe they should get rid of finals entirely. You know what I mean?
You sound bitter.
Oh, man. If they don't show up on night 1, forget about night 2. Okay, then why do we have night 2?
No, and I agree with that, right? I agree. But what I'm saying is people are going to have, it's their initial reaction. Sometimes it's hard for them to leave it, man. It's hard for them to sit there and think any different. Say it again.
I thought they were professionals. These are judges.
Yeah, no. Okay. I agree. Listen, you're trying to argue with someone who agrees with you. Right?
Then why are you arguing with me?
I'm giving them their whatever. I think that the reason because this is the thing. Nick, I put it this way. I think Nick will come here and tell you Nick should have done better night 1. If Nick did better night 1, I think he'd be in arguments. The issue is at this point, no matter how good you did, we can place you this way, that way. You didn't do good enough night 1. So our eyes are already tainted. You know how many people aren't going to be able to see how much better he came night 2? And in fact, fuck that, he was still good night 1. We can't deter from that.
Derek was off in 2024, and I just can't get that image out of my head. Maybe he should have been 6th. You see how ridiculous that sounds?
No, because it's the
day 1 and day 2 might as well be a universe apart. They need to show up like it is completely different things.
The thing is, that's how it should be judged. That they are 2 completely separate halves to the same fucking fight.
Otherwise, there's no
game.
There's no need.
100%. I agree. But what I'm trying to say is that people cannot help change their subconscious. People, fucking professional or not, you have a fucking gut intuition feeling, whatever you want to call it. You have this, okay, I saw Nick come out. He didn't look that good.
No, I can. You can get rid of this bias, or you can at least override it. Like, oh, man.
Yes, that's what needs to happen. Yes.
They need to redo the first call out, give everyone a look, and don't just immediately start out where they pick up where they left off in night 1. You do not start out with the final 4 call out like you did on night 1, like you finished with on night 1. You bring them all out for a first initial call out again, pick your favorites, and then go from there.
Dude, I remember a fucking conversation with you where you literally said verbatim that you feel prejudging is more important. So
I don't think I said that.
You did. I remember it.
You argue that.
No, I'm all about finals. And
what was my argument? 50-50. But if I had to choose one, it would be prejudging. No, because it should be 50-50. They should be equally weighted.
It should be 50-50, but if it is a tie, we can both agree that night 2 should matter more. Unless it was a complete ass-whipping night 1.
It's going to matter more because it's what's last. But you know what? We should implement. Why do we not implement instant replay? Dave Palumbo has been arguing this. Why do the judges have to make a snap decision? They can't review the footage.
I mean, yeah, there should be a fucking intermission of at least 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, you have to argue. You should set a time limit on it because they'll go back and forth.
Yeah. There should be a little time limit, and there probably is that with the other things and theatrics that are on with the show or just Bob talking. But the issue is a lot of people would argue, and I've heard this, and not to say I agree with this. Granted, it should make more sense because they're just now seeing them people in person. So you already saw them with your naked eye in person, up close and personal. Now you can go look at the pictures and fine tune it. But a lot of people, you always hear the argument. God, have I heard it so many times? You weren't there. You weren't there. Well, pictures can say just enough, especially if I just saw it in real time.
You know what they need to implement?
Yeah, I know no girls and all that way.
Did that too. All women off the judging panel.
Jesus.
Chat EBT. We've been working on our special chat AI bot program, Chat EBT. A couple of geniuses like ourselves have built this great model.
Yeah.
We've trained it on purely project bodybuilding videos.
Yeah, it just keeps on. It just keeps on putting me to the other register, man. I don't get it. It keeps on putting me to the.
Anyway, I think like the judges in an instant replay scenario with no time limit, we just keep going back and forth. So we gotta call it a day. It's midnight here on the East Coast.
It's fucking 12, and we've been on.
Baltimore time's a little different.
Listen, it is 2 minutes till 12. We've been on for 2 hours and 32 minutes, and the sad shit is, I could still argue more, but I don't want to. Not argue,
right?
But,
no,
you get what I'm saying. It's all fucking love and war.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to ask you for final thoughts because we've given our final thoughts.
No, we went beyond that an hour ago. I thought our final hour. I fucking thought
you didn't know there was a part 2. I said I can't wait to watch part 2.
I had no idea. You brought up. I said, wait. And in that moment, I said, fuck, I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to watch it because that's rude. It is not to say I don't want to or I do. I just didn't know it existed. You're like, oh, you want to watch it now? I'm like, yo, we've already been on this bitch for an hour and a half.
Well, what can you say? We are bodybuilding's most interesting duo. Name a better duo.
I can't. I mean, Bob Chick and
okay, we can't beat those. We cannot beat those. That's true. The voice of bodybuilding and the ass of bodybuilding, I guess. I don't know.
Fuck. The sad thing is I can't go on about this for no reason.
I could too.
Yeah.
I could too.
Yeah.
When I hit 1 million subs, we can do a 24-hour stream.
Oh, I will RIL the fuck out of that. I'll be on this bitch. Isn't that what it says in real IRL?
Oh, I thought you said RIL.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think that's what you said, though. I think you're delusional.
Maybe my dyslexia that I don't have.
Because I know what IRL means.
IRL is what I meant to say. IRL in real life. Or I would 1,000. I would be one of those weirdos. So I stay on this bitch and argue until and just have more people come in, bring all the weird fans and shit. Bring them in.
Have Derek.
There you go. Oh, I would love that. I hope to have another. I don't know.
If he sees
real life markets feel
you'll
so
never see him again.
No, honestly, hey, maybe real life me feels so indifferent about that whole situation where I don't even like to discuss it because it's so
indifferent, but you can't discuss it because you see red. You're enraged with anger.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I get angry about it, and I try not to because I understand people are emotional beings, and
especially Derek.
Yeah, so I get it.
He got his Dariad backstage. Anyway, that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe for more Olympia coverage. Marcus will be back soon. And I will see you all in the next video.